Chapter 2158 was just as she said. Mo Fangjiao blushed. She felt that Yun Chuju was just trying to scare her. Brother Jing, who seemed to be sincere to her. The two sat down and drank some tea. Zhu Jinghu sighed and said, Sister Fangjiao, you know that my mother wants me to marry Sister Fangbing, but I like you. I told my mother about the matter yesterday, but she wouldn't agree no matter what. I'm so angry. Mo Fangjiao's heart sank. It was exactly the same as what Mo Fangchao had said. Could it be that he really had that kind of plan? Mo Fangjiao squeezed out a smile. Brother Jinghu, then what do you think we should do? Why don't we just forget about it? Even if we're fated, we can't do anything about it. Zhu Jing's face revealed a pained expression. Sister Fangjiao, how can you say that? Do you know how much your brother's heart aches? The only person I want to marry is you. Mo Fangjiao was very touched in her heart. She felt that she had judged the heart of a gentleman with a petty heart. Just as she was about to console Zhu Jinghu, she heard Zhu Jinghu say, Sister Fangjiao, right now, we only have one way to get my mother to agree, and that is to cook rice before it's cooked. When the time comes, my mother will have to agree, and she will have to agree even if she doesn't agree. Mo Fangjiao's hands were tightly clenched in her sleeves. It was exactly the same as what Mo Fangjiao had said. Was he really planning to take advantage of her and force her to become his concubine? Zhu Jinghu saw that Mo Fangjiao didn't say anything, but didn't have any intense reactions. He felt that there was a possibility. He suppressed his joy and said, Sister Fangjiao, don't worry. I, Zhu Jinghu, am definitely not someone who will abandon you. As long as you become my person, I will definitely marry you openly. I, Zhu Jinghu, can only marry you. Mo Fangjiao recalled Yun Chuji's instructions and just lowered her head without saying anything. Zhu Jinghu could not help but be overjoyed when he saw the situation. He whispered, Sister Fangjiao, I will be leaving the morning of the day after tomorrow. Perhaps the marriage will be settled tomorrow, so we have to hurry. There is an inn not far from here. Why don't we? Mo Fangjiao still had a trace of hope in her heart, so she did not brush her sleeves and leave. She said in a low voice, I will go and book a room first. Then I will send someone to tell you which room. You can go there. After saying that, Mo Fangjiao lowered her head and left hurriedly, looking extremely embarrassed. Zhu Jinghu could not help but feel happy. Although this Mo Fangjiao was beautiful, her brain was really simple. She was so easy to get her hands on. Even if she married into a concubine in the future, it would be very easy to get rid of her. Mo Fangjiao left the tea house. Her heart was in a mess. Although she felt that what Yun Chujio said was very likely the final result, she still wanted to verify it. Xia Lian whispered into Mo Fangjiao's ear, Miss Chun Xiao just gave me a note. You are reading on MYBOXN0VEL.com. Mo Fangjiao took the note and saw that it said, Wang Family Inn, 2nd floor, room number 3. Mo Fangjiao took a deep breath and brought Xia Lian to the Wang Family Inn. They went straight to room number 3 on the 2nd floor. Probably because Yun Chujio had told them beforehand, no shopkeeper or waiter came to stop them. The two of them entered the room smoothly. Go and tell Zhu Jinghu the address of this place. Don't say anything else or I won't let you off, Mo Fangjiao said to Xia Lian with a gloomy face. Xia Lian did not dare to say anything else. She went out of the room to the tea house and told Zhu Jinghu the address. Zhu Jinghu could not wait to rush to the Wang Family Inn. Just like before, he arrived at room number 3 on the 2nd floor without any obstruction. There were top-quality dishes and wine on the table in the room. Mo Fangjiao sat at the side with a red face. Chapter 2159. The truth is revealed. Zhu Jinghu walked in front of Mo Fangjiao and hugged her. Sister Fangjiao, a good night is short. What's there to eat? Let's just make out. Mo Fangjiao used her hand to stop Zhu Jinghu and said gently, Brother Jinghu, this is considered our wedding night. We should at least have a cup of wine. Although Zhu Jinghu was extremely anxious, he didn't dare to be too forceful. He could only patiently take the wine cup that Mo Fangjiao handed over and drink it in one gulp. Sister Fangjiao, are you done now? Zhu Jing's eyes were like hooks as he stared at Mo Fangjiao. You first go to the bed and take off your clothes. I will be done in a moment. Mo Fangjiao lowered her head and said with a blushing face. Zhu Jinghu naturally wanted nothing more. He took off his clothes in no time and lay on the bed. Sister Fangjiao, hurry up. Mo Fangjiao took off her clothes slowly while counting in her heart. 10, 9, 8. On the bed, Zhu Jinghu only felt his eyelids becoming heavier and heavier. Although he tried his best to stay awake, he still fell asleep. Mo Fengjiao shouted a few times. Seeing that Zhu Jinghu did not respond, she walked to the side of the bed. Her gaze was very complicated. She took out a dagger, gritted her teeth and cut her arm, dripping fresh blood on the bed. Mo Fengjiao made the bedding into a mess. She also made her eyes red and swollen with the chili noodles that Yun Chujiu provided. Only then did she sit on the chair and wait for Zhu Jinghu to wake up. Zhu Jinghu had sex with Mo Fengjiao in his dream. When he opened his eyes, he couldn't tell what was going on, but when he saw the messy bedding and the bloodstains on the bed, only then did he confirm that what had just happened was real. Brother Jinghu, I'm already your person now. When are you going to my house to propose marriage? Mo Fengjiao's eyes were red and swollen like peaches as she asked plaintively. Zhu Jinghu's eyes flashed. Don't worry, I'll tell my mother when I go back tonight. Sister Fengjiao, it's still early. Come, let's have some fun. Mo Fengjiao stood up abruptly. If you don't go to my house to propose marriage, I won't do this kind of thing with you anymore. Zhu Jinghu coaxed her for a while more. Seeing that Mo Fengjiao still refused to budge, he became impatient. With a cold face he said, Mo Fengjiao, don't be ungrateful. To tell you the truth, I have no intention of marrying you at all. If you coax me until I'm happy, I'll take you as my concubine. If you're stubborn, don't even think about having a concubine. I don't believe that anyone would marry a ruined woman like you. You are reading on MYBOXN0VEL. Although Mo Fengjiao had already believed Yun Chujia's words in her heart, she still had a little bit of fantasy. Now that she heard Zhu Jinghu's words, her face turned pale. You're really lying to me? Zhu Jinghu thought that Mo Fengjiao was afraid. He said proudly, you know you're afraid? To tell you the truth, you're just a lady from a third-class family. You still want to be my wife? No way. Come over and serve me obediently. I'll take you in as a concubine. In the future I'll give birth to a man and a woman. I won't treat you unfairly. Otherwise I'll spread the news that you've been slept with by me. Let's see who still dares to marry you. Zhu Jinghu, you bastard. Do you really think that I slept with you? The wine that you drank and the drunken dreams that I gave you were just your hallucinations. Mo Fengjiao, am really blind to think that you are a good match. Mo Fengjiao could not help but shiver. On one hand she was angry. On the other hand she was afraid. If Yun Chujiu had not reminded her, she could foresee how miserable her future would be. Chapter 2160 will teach you a lesson. Zhu Jinghu was stunned for a moment before he laughed out loud. Mo Fengjiao, your lie is too far-fetched. If you didn't sleep with me, then where did the blood on the bed come from? Mo Fengjiao rolled up the sleeve on her left arm. There was a scratch on it that had not yet healed. She sneered and said, the blood on the bed was caused by my cut on my arm. Zhu Jinghu, your Zhu family is rich and powerful. I can't afford to offend you. However, let me give you a piece of advice. If you walk too much at night, you will meet a ghost sooner or later. Take care of yourself. After saying that, Mo Fengjiao put on the veil that she had prepared beforehand and rushed out of the room. Zhu Jinghu was extremely vexed. This Mo Fengjiao seemed to be simple-minded. He did not expect that she would actually trick him. He was really detestable. Just as Zhu Jinghu was vexed, the door that was originally open was suddenly closed. Zhu Jinghu was stunned. At this moment the sound of wind came from the back of his head. Before he could react, he was knocked unconscious by something. When Zhu Jinghu woke up, he found him sprawled on the ground. The strange thing was that other than his neck he could not move the rest of his body. It was as if he was possessed. Just as Zhu Jinghu was panicking, he heard a stuttering woman's voice say, Zhulang, you made me suffer so much. I'm alone down there. Come down and accompany me. Zhu Jinghu could only hear the voice but could not see the person. He was so scared that he cried out in pain, who are you? Where are you? You don't come over. Zhulang, don't tell me you don't even remember who I am? Then follow me down there and think about it. Zhu Jinghu felt his neck tighten as if he was strangled by something. He was so scared that he hurriedly said, you're Cui Huan? Yaner? Chen Yu? Li Fong? Or Donger? You can't even remember my name, you heartless man. I'm going to dig out your heart and eat it. The voice said coldly. Zhu Jinghu was so scared that he peed his pants. He now completely believed that he had met a ghost because no matter how much he shouted, no one came to save him. Moreover, he was so strange that he could not move. This kind of stiffness was not caused by the confinement of spiritual power. It was because his body was no longer under his control. Grandaunt, I beg you. As long as you spare me, I will definitely change my past in the future. When I go back, I will burn paper money for you and hire people to perform rituals for you. Please spare me. Zhu Jing's nose was full of mucus and tears as he pleaded. Burn paper money? That's so troublesome. Just give me your storage ring directly. You are reading on MYBOXN0VEL. Calm as he spoke, Zhu Jinghu felt the storage ring on his right hand being removed and then disappearing. Great aunt, since you took the storage ring, please spare me. Zhu Jinghu pleaded. I can spare you, but I have to teach you a lesson. Zhu Jinghu was wondering what the female ghost was talking about when he felt a sharp pain on his face and then fainted. Before Zhu Jinghu fainted, he heard the female ghost say in a sinister tone, I'm warning you, don't tell anyone about what happened today. Otherwise Tui Huan, Yener, Qianyu, Lifang and Donger will come looking for you. When Zhu Jinghu regained consciousness again, he was awakened by his triangular-eyed follower. Young master, what happened to you? Zhu Jinghu raised his arm and found that he could move, and his Buddhist spiritual power had also recovered. He looked at his right hand again and saw that it was empty, and his spiritual sense was faintly in pain. Apparently, the spiritual sense on the storage ring had been forcefully erased by someone. He felt an unbearable pain on his face. He touched it with his hand and found a hand full of blood. He hurriedly ran to the mirror in the room and took a look. He saw a big cross on one side of his face, which was very ferocious and terrifying. Zhu Jinghu cried out in surprise and fainted again. Chapter 2161 Temporary Pass. Zhu Jing's San Jiaoyan follower had fed him medicine and injected his spiritual power, finally waking Zhu Jinghu up. Young master, what's wrong with you? Zhu Jinghu was about to say something when he remembered the female ghost's warning, and his face revealed a terrified expression. He shouted fiercely, Shut up. Is this something you can ask? Hurry up and buy me the flawless muscle pills. If there's a scar on my face, it'll kill you. San Jiaoyan's lackey didn't dare to say anything more and quickly bought 2 bottles of flawless muscle pills. After applying the flawless muscle pills on his wound, Zhu Jinghu felt a little more at ease. He didn't dare to go back to the Mo family's main house for fear that his mother would press him. After thinking for a while, he came up with an idea. Wang Xing, send someone to give this letter to my mother. Zhu Jinghu wrote a letter to Pan Shi. The gist of it was that he met a friend and went on a sightseeing trip together. He would return home in a few days and let her return to the Zhu family first. When the Pan family received Zhu Jing's letter, they were naturally furious. However, they could do nothing about it. The next day they also left the Mo family's main house in a hurry. Naturally, their marriage with Mo Fongbing was not settled. Mo family's 5th house, Waning Moon Pavilion. Mo Fengjiao had an awkward expression as she thanked Yun Chujiao. Mo Fengjiao, thank you so much for this. These food are all for you. Yun Chujiao said with a smile. Sister Fengjiao, we are sisters. There's no need to be so polite. Alright, don't give me this chestnut cake next time. I don't like it. You should give me more lotus cake and spirit fruit. It's best if you give me some candied fruits. Mo Fengjiao. The people of the Mo family suddenly realized that not only had Mo Fengjiao won the great elder's favor, but her relationship with Mo Fongbing and Mo Fengjiao had also suddenly improved. One had to know that Mo Fongbing was famous for being cold and aloof in the Mo family. Although Mo Fengjiao was a little better, she still had an arrogant look on her face. How did they become good friends with Mo Fongbing? It was really strange. Yun Chujiao was very proud of herself. She had gained a lot from this matter with the Zhu family. You are reading on MYBOXN0VEL. Calm. First of all, after this matter, the great elder recognized her even more. Secondly, she had eased her relationship with Mo Fongbing and Mo Fengjiao. Furthermore, it was very likely that she would tie up with Mo Fongbing in order to obtain a chance to further her studies. Finally, not only did this guy teach Zhu Jinghu a lesson, but Zhu Jing's storage ring also had a lot of inventory. This guy had made a small fortune again. Although this guy had played tricks and wasted the remaining shadow escape talisman from last time, Zhu Jinghu still had an unused shadow escape talisman in his storage ring. This guy had made a profit. Although Yun Chujiao was proud of herself, she had a real problem in front of her. The time limit for the temporary pass. She and Mo Shouting had already been on the eastern continent for a month. Considering the time they would need to travel, the 2-month time limit for the temporary pass was about to expire. If she didn't want to be punished, she had to return to the Western continent as soon as possible, or the Mo family could immediately get her and Mo Shouting 2 more temporary passes. Either way, she and Mo Shouting had to return to the border between the Eastern and Western continents to undergo inspection. Otherwise, they would be put on the wanted list for illegal registration. The next morning, Yun Chujio came to see the Great Elder and told him about the temporary pass. The Great Elder had yet to decide whether to include Guangshuan branch in his family, so he decided to get Yun Chujio another temporary pass. As for Mo Shouting, there was no need for him to stay for the time being. He could return to the Western continent and wait for further notice. Chapter 2162. Carrying the world on your back. The first elder explained the situation to Mo Shaoquan. Although Mo Shaoquan was extremely unwilling, he did not dare to go against the first elder's wishes, so he asked Mo Xiaoan to handle the matter. Mo Xiaoan did not dislike Yun Chujio as much as Mo Shaoquan did. Mo Fengjiao had been putting in a good word for Yun Chujio recently, so Mo Xiaoan did not mind Yun Chujio staying. At most he would only provide her with some food. Mo Xiaoan immediately explained Mo Xiaoquan's intentions to Mo Shouting. Mo Shouting was already mentally prepared, so after some pleasantries he brought Yun Chujio to the border between the Eastern and Western continents. This time Manager Lu accompanied them. Manager Lu was now completely in awe of Yun Chujio. This young lady was simply a god. She had only been here for a month and had already settled the first elder. Who knew she might soon become an official resident of the Eastern continent. Mo Shouting, on the other hand, had a lot on his mind. Yun Chujio was so smart when no one was around. So he asked in a low voice, "Grandfather, are you worried that I will only care about myself and not our Guangshunzi?" "Don't worry, I am not the type of person to ignore my family. Besides, I want to establish myself in my own family. If I don't have the support of Guangshunzi, I am nothing." Although Mo Shouting felt that Yun Chujio's words were a little unrefined, he was at least a little relieved. It made sense. If it wasn't for Guangshuanji, Feng Chao would have no one to rely on. Moreover, her mother's grave was still in Guangshunzi's ancestral grave. He would never be ungrateful. 8 days later, the flying spiritual device arrived at the border between the Eastern and Western continents. After Mo Shouting handed in the temporary pass, he gave Yun Chujio a few instructions. After crossing the border between the 2 continents, he found the Mo family's guards and reluctantly left. He Shi and the others did not see Yun Chujio, so their hearts were in a mess. They used their courage to ask Mo Shouting a question. After finding out that Yun Chujio was safe and sound, they felt relieved. However, they were a little disappointed. Would the little ancestor who promised to take them on a pretentious flight abandon them? On the other side, Yun Chujio brought Manager Lu to the staff on duty and prepared to renew a temporary pass for Yun Chujio. The leader on duty today was a slightly hunched middle-aged man. Usually he was very flattering the people who came and went, so he was very arrogant. Seeing the Mo family token that Manager Lu handed over, she couldn't help but curl her lips. Mo family? A third-class family just can't do it. A second-class family only has a pass for 4 months, and a third-class family only has 2 months. The 2 of them added together can only last as long as one of them. Yun Chujio's eyes suddenly lit up, and an idea suddenly came to her mind. "You are reading on MYBOXN0VEL.com, sir. May I have a word with you?" Yun Chujio said with a smile. Hunchback pursed his lips but still brought Yun Chujio to the side. "Little girl, what's the matter?" "Sir, I won't hide it from you. I know some face-to-face skills. One look and you can tell that you are an extraordinary person. Sooner or later you will amaze everyone." Yun Chujio said with a face full of admiration. The hunchback looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously. He couldn't help but sneer. "Little girl, you are simply lying through your teeth. I know my own limitations. Let's not talk about other things. I am a hunchback. What good fortune can I have?" "Sir, what you said is wrong. Haven't you heard of a saying? A hunchback carries the universe. Your hunchback is very particular. This means that you are a person with great fortune, which is why your back bulges. To put it bluntly, the reason why bastards live longer is because of a hunchback. Therefore, your hunchback definitely has a hidden meaning. Believe me, sooner or later you will rise to the top," Yun Chujio said mysteriously. Well, I don't have anything to trouble you with for the time being. Thank you very much. Yun Chujio said very politely. Hunchback felt even more apologetic. It was as if he didn't help Yun Chujio with something, he felt that he was unforgivable. You are reading on Audiobook Xn0vel.com at this moment. Yun Chujio frowned. She seemed to have remembered something. Sir, I remember that I really do have something that I need your help with. But forget it. It seems to be a little difficult, so I won't trouble you. Yun Chujio was about to turn around and leave when her hunchback's eyes lit up. It's no trouble. It's no trouble. What exactly do you want? This all right. Since you've asked, then I'll be thick-skinned and say it. Isn't the Mo family's temporary pass limited to one person for 2 months? However, now that I'm the only one left, can you count the rights of these 2 people on me? This means that I have 4 months to stay, so I don't have to come over to renew it. After all, I've wasted a lot of time on the road. Please don't make things difficult for me. If it's difficult, just pretend that I didn't say anything. Yun Chujio said with an embarrassed look. Chapter 2164. The 4-month limit. After Hunchback heard Yun Chujio's words, he readily agreed. What's so difficult about that? Don't worry, I'll directly give you a pass for the 4-month limit. Oh right, little girl, I've been on duty here for the past year. You don't have to come here personally next time. Just send your subordinate over. I'll also give you a pass for the 4-month limit. An obedient little girl like you won't do anything bad. There's no need for tests or anything like that. Yun Chujio was pleasantly surprised. She covered her mouth with her hand and looked incredulous. My lord, is this really okay? It won't bring you any trouble, right? The hunchback's confidence suddenly swelled. He patted his chest and said, I can still make the decision on such a small matter. Don't worry. Yun Chujio naturally thanked him profusely. Her compliments were like free money. It was as if she was trying to trick the hunchback to the point that he was standing shoulder to shoulder with the sun. The 2 of them chatted for a while more before Hunchback brought Yun Chujio back to the office and looked at Manager Lu a few times. The reason why Hunchback looked at Manager Lu a few times was to remember him the next time he came. However, Manager Lu had a misconception. What exactly did this little ancestor say to this manager? Why did that manager keep looking at him? Could it be that the little ancestor was scheming against him again? That was not right. He had not provoked the little ancestor recently. Hunchback quickly completed a temporary pass and handed it to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio took the pass and happily brought Manager Lu onto the Flying Spirit Tool. After the Flying Spirit Tool traveled for a distance, Yun Chujio waved at Manager Lu. Manager Lu, come here. I want to show you something good. Manager Lu looked baffled. When he walked over, Yun Chujio waved a jade slip in her hand. Miss Fengchao, isn't this a temporary pass? Manager Lu asked in confusion. Yun Chujio pouted and handed the temporary pass to Manager Lu. Manager Lu took it and looked at it, then he was dumbfounded. For months. That's not right. Our Mo family only has 2 months of authority. Why is your temporary pass limited to 4 months? Manager Lu rubbed his eyes and read it several times word by word. Manager Lu, that's why you still have to continue learning. You still have a lot to learn. Although our Mo family only has 2 months of authority, isn't it 4 months for the 2 of us together? Now that my grandfather has returned, of course I have 4 months left. Yun Chujio said with a smug look. You are reading on Audiobook Xn0vel.com. This fellow felt that spending 1 million spiritual stones was simply worth it. This way she would save at least half a month's time on the inside and outside. Moreover, she wouldn't have to come over personally next time, which would save a lot of time. What was time? Time was money. 1 million spiritual stones was a small matter. Manager Lu was completely dumbfounded. Why did she bring it along like this? He had never heard that a family's pass could add up to a person's head. This was too incredible. Just as Manager Lu was in a daze, Yun Chujio said leisurely, Do you know why that hunchback kept staring at you? Manager Lu shook his head with a blank look. I don't know. Do you know the reason, Miss Fengchao? Yes, the reason why the hunchback looked at you was to remember your appearance. Because the next time I change my temporary pass, I don't have to come over personally. You can just take my temporary pass and change it for me for 4 months. Chapter 2165. Paying her to shut up. Manager Liu's mouth was wide open. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. This could be done? What exactly did this great aunt say to that hunchback? That hunchback actually treated her so well? Could it be that hunchback was her long-lost relative? Do you really want to know how I did it? Yun Chujio asked with a smile. Manager Lu nodded his head vigorously. He was really curious. I can tell you, but this is a good opportunity for you to learn. Are you going to listen to me for nothing? Yun Chujio crossed her legs and asked with a half-smile. How much is that? Manager Lu staggered. He had to pay for the tuition fee to listen to gossip? Little ancestor, can you be more unkind? We are old acquaintances. I won't charge you more. 1 million. Manager Lu shook his head like a rattle drum. Miss Fengchao, I still won't listen. Why are you in such a hurry? I haven't finished speaking. We are so close. We'll give you a discount. 200,000. How about it? The discount is low enough, right? Let me tell you. Don't look at it as a small matter. You can learn many tricks from it. I guarantee that you will benefit from it for your whole life. 200,000 is just the money for a high-end dress. 200,000 won't make you suffer. 200,000 won't make you fall for it. Miss Fengchao, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. Manager Lu thought to himself. I'll buy her to shut up with money. Otherwise, this little ancestor might turn 200,000 into 500,000. Yun Chujio accepted Manager Liu's 200,000 with a smile. That's right. Money is a bastard. If we lose it, we'll earn more. We only get what we give up. Manager Liu's face was stiff. It was easy to say. Was money that easy to earn? In the blink of an eye, the 200,000 yuan was gone. He wanted to hear how this little ancestor tricked that hunchback. Yun Chujio immediately told Manager Lu the whole story. Manager Lu was dumbfounded. How could she play this game? She was the one who asked the hunchback to do something. How did it become that the hunchback took the initiative to help her? How is it? Manager Lu, is my 1 million worth it? Yun Chujio asked smugly. It's worth it. It's simply worth it. Miss Fengchao, I heard that someone once spent tens of millions of spirit stones trying to find someone to accommodate him for a few days, but it was unsuccessful. I didn't expect that you spent 1 million to extend it by 2 months. Moreover, you don't have to go personally next time. You're really amazing. Manager Lu silently added in his heart. How the fuck is it 1 million? You black-hearted person clearly only spent 800,000. That 200,000 is mine, it's mine. You are reading on MYBOXN0VEL.com. Manager Lu, I won't let your 200,000 go to waste. I'll give you some pointers now. Sometimes when you ask someone to do something, don't make things clear right away. Also, don't kowtow and give money right away. Although money is a good thing, sometimes it has to be combined with other things to be useful. Most importantly, you'd better let the other party take the initiative to offer help. This way he will feel comfortable and will do his best. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Manager Lu nodded repeatedly when he heard that. He felt that the $200,000 was not wasted. Although this little ancestor was full of bad ideas, he had to admit that she was too proficient in the ways of the world. It was a journey of 8 days from the border between the eastern and western continents to Tiger City. Yun Chujio was not in a hurry to travel, so when she saw a forest below, she suggested to go for a few days of training. Chapter 2166 Psychedelic Forest. Upon hearing Yun Chujio's words, Manager Lu could not help but complain in his heart. Miss Fo, although your intentions are good, we only have 5 guards with us. Moreover, our spiritual power isn't particularly high. What if we run into danger? Let's just walk around the edge of the forest. We're not going in. It's fine. We'll just take it as a distraction, Yun Chujio said with a smile. She had already made contact with Enfeng, and Enfeng was not far away from her. It was not a problem for them to walk around the edge of the forest. Manager Lu knew that Yun Chujio had a good idea, so he did not dare to say anything more. He let the flying spirit tool land on the edge of the forest. Manager Lu, what's the name of this forest? Yun Chujio asked while looking at it curiously. Manager Lu took out the map and looked at it. His expression changed. Miss Fengchao, this forest is a psychedelic forest. It said that there are many poisonous mushrooms in the depths of the forest that can make people hallucinate. Why don't we go somewhere else? Don't worry, I'm just walking around the edge. When Yun Chujio heard that there were poisonous mushrooms, she was overjoyed. The more poisonous the mushroom, the more delicious it was. No matter what, she had to pick some poisonous mushrooms to eat back home. Manager Lu and the others did not know what this guy was planning. They believed him and followed Yun Chujio into the psychedelic forest. The outer area of the psychedelic forest was no different from the forest in the western continent. There were only some yellow rank herbs on the ground occasionally, which proved that the spiritual energy here was very rich. Yun Chujio saw some wild fruits inside and didn't care whether they were poisonous or not. She just kept pulling them into her storage ring. Manager Lu clicked his tongue as he watched, thinking to himself that this little ancestor was really over the top, not even letting go of wild fruits. As they walked deeper, some demon beasts began to appear. However, perhaps because of the edge, the level of the demon beasts that appeared were not very high, and most of them were around level 27. As Yun Chujio was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, she was clearly at level 4 of the spiritual profound realm. Others looked like they were only at level 6 of the spiritual venerable realm, so when they saw a level 27 demonic beast. Manager Lu said fawningly, "Miss Fno, didn't you want to have a trial? It's most suitable to use this level 27 long-horned violent bull to practice." Yun Chujio curled her lips. "Too weak. Why use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken? It'll only attack if I meet someone of a higher level." Manager Lu cursed in his heart. "You're only at the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm, what are you so arrogant for? You might not even be able to deal with someone at the 27th level. And you still dare to dream of dealing with someone even more powerful?" Just as Manager Lu was thinking about it, he heard a few sneers. Some people really overestimate themselves. Someone at the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm is still so picky about dealing with high-level demonic beast. Simply hilarious. That's right. Does she think that anyone can come to this psychedelic forest? One look and you can tell that she's a country bumpkin. He doesn't know anything. She's just here to court death. Along with the sneers, a group of people walked over from afar. There were men and women, and there were many guards following behind them. Yun Chujio saw at a glance that there was an ancient character embroidered on the corner of a red-clothed girl's clothes. Yun Chujio's eyes darkened. A member of the Yi family? It was really a narrow road for enemies. She did not know who the person was from the Yi family. Manager Lu was very shrewd. When he saw that the person was not to be trifled with, he immediately gave Yun Chujio a look to advise her not to cause trouble, or else she would get into trouble. Of course, Yun Chujio was not stupid enough to hit a rock with an egg. Not to mention the spiritual power of these young men, the guards behind them did not seem to have a lower spiritual power than Enfeng. They were probably at the spiritual void level. It would definitely not end well if they fought. Chapter 2167. You guys look a little alike. Yun Chujio's side remained silent. Those people mocked her a little, but seeing that it was meaningless, they decided to leave. At this moment, a young girl dressed in white said in surprise, "Bingyu, why does that country bumpkin look a little like you?" Previously, no one had really looked closely at Yun Chujio's appearance. When they heard the white-clothed girl say this, many people's gazes fell on Yun Chujio, especially the red-clothed girl. She was annoyed to discover that the country bumpkin opposite her did indeed look similar to her. The most hateful thing was that the country bumpkin was more beautiful than her. The red-robed girl felt that she could not hold back anymore. She glared at the white-robed girl. "Lu Jingwan, why are you comparing me to a trash? What are your intentions?" The white-robed girl. Lu Jinluan's face was filled with embarrassment. "I was just saying that. Besides, how can a trash like her be compared to you? Don't be angry. If you don't like her, just get someone to kill them all." Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. He made it sound so natural. It seemed that this Lu Jingwan was not a good person. Moreover, her family background should be pretty good. She might even be a disciple of a first-class family. Before the red-dressed girl could speak, a man who looked somewhat similar to Lu Jingwan berated, "Jingwan, don't spout nonsense. Sister Bingyu, it's more important for us to look for the rainbow crystal mushroom. Let's hurry." That man was obviously the leader among these young people. Hence, even though Lu Jingwan and the red-dressed girl wanted to find trouble with Yun Chujio, they still followed that man and continued to walk inside. When he saw that Lu Jingwan and the rest had disappeared, Manager Lu wiped the sweat off his forehead. Even his back was drenched. He spoke with a sobbing tone, "Miss Fno, if my guess is correct, those people are from first-class families. They are not people we can afford to provoke. If you want to train, let's go somewhere else. Otherwise, if we meet them again, we might be doomed." Yun Chujia's eyes flashed. She knew that if they really fought, her current strength would be like an egg hitting a stone. In the end, Yun Chujio decided to avoid Lu Jingwan and the others. After all, it was not too late for a gentleman to take revenge. She would wait and see in the future. Therefore, she asked Manager Lu, "If we go further, is there still such a large forest?" Manager Lu did not dare to lie, so he could only tell the truth. Although there are still a few forests, the area is very small. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and thought for a while. "How about this, we go around to the west so that we won't meet them?" Manager Lu heard Yun Chujio's words and felt that it was fine. After all, they were going in two different directions. They shouldn't meet those people again. Therefore, the group took a detour of more than 10 miles to the west of the psychedelic forest and continued to walk inside. At this moment, a 30-step ironbone wild boar rushed out and pounced on Yun Chujio while howling. The guards behind were about to help when Yun Chujio shouted, "Don't worry about it. I'll deal with it." Yun Chujio was already holding her anger in her heart. Seeing that this damn ironbone wild boar didn't pounce on anyone, but pounced on her, she became even angrier. "Fuck, even a persimmon is easy to pick and even a pig like you dares to bully me? Today I'll make sure you never come back." Manager Lu and those guards had helpless expressions. This Miss Fong Chao was good in every way, but she was too proud. "You're only at the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm, and this 30-level ironbone wild boar is equivalent to the 9th level of the spiritual venerable realm. Can you do it?" Chapter 2168. Awesome 10,000-year-old fire marrow. Yun Chujio nimbly dodged the ironbone wild boar's attack and fired several bolts of lightning at the boar. As Yun Chujio's spiritual power increased, the number of bolts of lightning she fired not only increased to 8, but each bolt of lightning was as thick as an adult's pinky finger. Whether it was Manager Lu or the 5 guards, it was the first time they saw Yun Chujio use her spiritual power to attack. They were all dumbfounded. So this was the spiritual power attack of the heavenly thunder spirit root. It was really awesome. This was simply a miniature heavenly thunder. However, after they were shocked, they shook their heads. Although the spiritual power attack of the heavenly thunder spirit root was pretty awesome, as the spiritual power increased, it was better to use a spiritual beast to attack. They didn't know if Miss Fong Chao could materialize her spiritual power. Just as they were nodding and shaking their heads, a burnt smell suddenly came along with the screams of the ironbone wild boar. They took a closer look and saw the huge body of the ironbone wild boar fall to the ground. Black smoke rose from its body. It was obviously dead. Manager Lu and the 5 guards looked at each other. What exactly happened? How did the ironbone wild boar die in the blink of an eye? They were dumbfounded, and Yun Chujio was even more dumbfounded. Her back was facing Manager Lu and the other 3. She stared at her right hand. At the moment just now, there seemed to be a flame shooting out from her palm. Then she realized that the ironbone wild boar was emitting black smoke. Could it be the 10,000-year-old fire marrow? The flame on Yun Chujio's right palm was no different from usual, as if everything was an illusion for Yun Chujio. "Miss Fo, you are really amazing. You killed a level 30 ironbone wild boar in less than 3 moves." Manager Lu came back to his senses and said flatteringly he thought that Yun Chujio used the power of lightning to kill the ironbone wild boar, and the reason why the ironbone wild boar was emitting smoke was naturally the result of lightning. Yun Chujio couldn't explain further. She said with a smile, "Of course. I have a heavenly thunder spirit root, so I naturally have special abilities. Let's go. Let's continue to take a look inside." Manager Lu saw that Yun Chujio was indeed capable, so he didn't stop her and continued to follow Yun Chujio inside. Not long after, they met a level 32 sword-toothed double-tailed leopard. Yun Chujio wanted to test the 10,000-year-old fire marrow, so before Manager Lu and the others could react, Yun Chujio rushed forward and fought with the saber-toothed double-tailed leopard. Manager Lu was anxious and angry. He thought to himself this Miss Fong Chao was too easy to be proud of. Although she had easily killed the ironbone wild boar just now, it was still a level 30 demonic beast after all, and this saber-toothed double-tailed leopard was level 32. That was equivalent to the 2nd to 3rd level of the Lingxian realm. Could she do it? Be careful. If Miss Fong Chao is no match for you, hurry up and save her. Manager Liu's words came to an abrupt end because he heard a few screams from the saber-toothed twin-tailed leopard. Then he saw that the saber-toothed twin-tailed leopard had turned into a corpse that was emitting black smoke. Manager Lu and the 5 guards were so shocked that they could not speak. How was this possible? In the blink of an eye, the level 32 saber-toothed twin-tailed panther had died? They were shocked, and Yun Chujie was even more shocked. This 10,000-year-old fire marrow was too awesome, wasn't it? It was only in its infancy, but it was already so powerful. It could practically be compared to Xiao Hanio's Nirvana fire. Xiao Hanio was immediately unhappy. Master, what you said is wrong. The 10,000 years fire marrow only injured a level 32 demonic beast. Back then my Nirvana fire killed a large group of high-level demonic beasts, and there was no lack of level 37 and above demonic beasts. Moreover, I am only a small phoenix. Chapter 2169 Fire was also unreliable. Yun Chujie curled her lips. Your Nirvana fire is indeed powerful, but didn't you say that you would fall into hibernation after using it once? How could it be convenient to use this 10,000-year-old fire marrow? Xiao Hanio was poked in a sore spot by Yun Chujie. She rolled her eyes and did not say anything. Yun Chujie, this fellow, felt that she had opened the door to a new world. She did not expect to accidentally obtain such a good treasure. So what if she did not have a qi-ling? Didn't this little flame still help her kill demonic beasts? This was simply a good helper for killing people and stealing goods. Manager Lu only recovered after a long time. He didn't even know how to say flattery, because he couldn't think of any adjectives to express his shock. He felt that he must have encountered a fake 6th-level spiritual venerable. Which family's 6th-level spiritual venerable could kill a 32nd-level demonic beast in an instant? Even the guards at the 7th or 8th level of the spiritual profound realm couldn't do it. Yun Chujie didn't care what they were thinking. This guy was eager to find a new prey to test the power of the 10,000-year fire marrow. Therefore, when she saw a 33rd level wind-blade golden-striped tiger rushing over, she almost rushed up excitedly. Manager Lu and the 5 guards had learned from the previous experience. They felt that Yun Chujie was a pervert and didn't need their help at all. Therefore they just watched the show from the back, wanting to see how Yun Chujie killed the demon beast. Yun Chujie was in a tragic situation. That was because she struck dozens of lightning bolts, but the damn 10,000-year-old fire marrow did not come out. On the contrary, the wind-blade golden-spotted tiger grew stronger as it fought, forcing Yun Chujie to only be able to parry and not be able to fight back. Manager Lu even said to the 5 guards, I think Miss Feng Chao wants to train a little longer this time. Otherwise she would have killed the wind-blade golden-spotted tiger long ago. Manager Lu is right. I think so too. Miss Feng Chao must be playing with it. When she's done playing with it she will kill it. Yun Chujie almost vomited blood when she heard their discussion. Which eye of yours saw me playing with this damn wind-blade golden-spotted tiger? If I continue playing with it I won't be able to save my life, right? Seeing that the 10,000-year-old fire marrow was not reliable, Yun Chujie did not bother to hide it anymore. She released several piglets of spiritual power towards the wind-blade golden-spotted tiger. Manager Lu and the others stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Oh God! Was this Miss Feng Chao playing around? Her spiritual beast was actually a piglet. This was too incompatible with the heavenly thunder spiritual root, right? The wind-blade golden-spotted tiger clearly did not put the spiritual piglet in its eyes. It casually used the wind blade to hit the spiritual piglet. The price of underestimating the enemy was obviously heavy. Although Yun Chujie used an intermediate-level physical transformation technique, the perverse nature of the spiritual piglet was beyond the understanding of the wind blade golden-spotted tiger. In addition to Yun Chujie's swift movement technique, an hour later, the wind blade golden-spotted tiger was covered in injuries and died. Yun Chujie, this fellow, was so tired that she sat on the ground and panted heavily. She cursed in her heart, damn it, I really can't rely on others. Even fire is unreliable. I still have to work hard to cultivate. Although this damn 10,000-year-old fire marrow was powerful, it was too unreliable. They did not know when they would help or when they would play dead. It was best not to count on it in the future. Although Manager Lu and the other 3 were very curious about the little piglet of spiritual power, they did not dare to ask too much. They felt that what they had encountered today was simply unbelievable. This Miss Feng Chao was simply inhuman. Chapter 2171 The little girl who picks mushrooms. Manager Lu and the 5 guards heard Yun Chujio's shout and suddenly woke up. They subconsciously took the gas mask that Yun Chujio handed over. Manager Lu and the 5 guards looked at each other with the gas mask in their hands. What was this strange thing used for? How did this thing work? Yun Chujio could only take out another gas mask to demonstrate. Manager Lu and the others then imitated Yun Chujio and put on the mask. Everyone couldn't help but feel that this thing was very magical. After putting it on, they actually couldn't smell the strange fragrance. Yun Chujio took out a lot of gas masks and handed them to them. This gas mask only has a half-minute effect. Remember to change it when you have the time. Manager Lu said worriedly, Miss Feng Chao, I think this fragrance is a little strange. Let's hurry and leave. Before Yun Chujio could say anything, a guard cried out in surprise, Oh my God! Oh my God! The mushroom has become a spirit. The mushroom has become a spirit. Yun Chujio looked in the direction the guard pointed and saw a group of colorful mushrooms jumping towards them. Not only were the mushrooms different in color, but their shapes were also strange. However, one thing was for sure, these mushrooms were all poisonous mushrooms. Miss Feng Chao, the mushrooms have turned into spirits. But let's run. Manager Lu felt his legs go soft. Although there were demonic plants in this world, only demonic plants that had reached a certain level could leave the place where they grew. These mushrooms had not reached such a high level yet, they had all run over on their own. There must be something fishy about this. Just as Manager Lu was trembling slightly, he saw the little ancestor's eyes crack into a smile. Not only did he not run out, but he even ran towards the poisonous mushrooms as if he had seen a spirit stone. Miss, come back. It's poisonous. Those are poisonous mushrooms. Manager Lu even omitted the word fragrant grass. Just as Manager Lu and the 5 guards were about to go forward and drag Yun Chujio away, they saw Yun Chujio start to pick the mushrooms. The mushrooms seemed to be frozen by something and were immediately put into Yun Chujio's storage ring. This guy was so happy picking mushrooms that he even hummed a song. A little girl with a big bamboo basket on her back. Manager Lu and the 5 guards were dumbfounded. Oh God, what on earth happened? Could it be that these mushrooms were sent to the little ancestor for him to pick? This is too unbelievable. Yun Chujio still had some conscience. She felt that they were almost done picking, so she used her spiritual sense to say to Xiao Mogu, I think it's enough. You let the rest of the mushrooms wander back. Yun Chujio was not stupid. Of course, she would not think that these poisonous mushrooms came by themselves. It was probably Xiao Mogu who hooked them up. Xiao Mogu and Guai Chao were a perfect match. One could hook up with demon beasts and the other could hook up with mushrooms. Xiao Mogu's mycelium swayed and the poisonous mushrooms all turned around and hopped back. Manager Lu was about to talk to Yun Chujio when he heard a scream from afar. It seemed to be the group of people he met a few days ago. Manager Lu could not help but be shocked. Miss Feng Chao, it seems to be those people we met before. Let's leave quickly. Otherwise we might get into trouble. Yun Chujio also felt that it was better to avoid trouble. After all, the poisonous mushrooms had already been obtained, so there was no need to meet them, so she nodded. What you said makes sense. Let's go, let's leave this place quickly. Chapter 2172. Hand over the 7-colored crystal mushroom. Manager Lu heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Yun Chujio agree so readily. Everyone quickly walked out of the psychedelic forest. It would take them at least 4 hours to walk out of the psychedelic forest from their current position. They did not dare to delay, afraid that there would be other branches. However, what they were afraid of came true. After walking out for about 2 hours, they heard someone shouting from behind, Stop. Stop right now or I'll kill you. Miss Feng Chao, what should we do? Manager Lu grinned. It was over. They had finally gotten into trouble. Why did those people tell them to stop? Just stop and see what they say. Yun Chujio wanted to run, but regardless of the number or strength, the difference between the two sides was too big, so she could not run. The people behind quickly caught up. It was indeed Lu Jingwan and the others, but they were all in a sorry state. The guards were still missing a few people, so they were probably lost. Lu Jingwan looked at Yun Chujio and the others with disdain. TSK, I didn't expect you guys to still be alive. You're so weak, but you weren't eaten by the demon beasts? You really got lucky. Let me ask you, those mushrooms from before rushed towards your direction like crazy. Did you guys see the rainbow crystal mushroom? Yoon Chujie's lowered eyes were filled with coldness. Did she have a face that was easy to bully? All of them wanted to step on her. Lu family? Very good, Xiaohei has another family in his account. Let's wait and see. Although this guy wanted to point at Lu Jinluan's nose and scold her in his heart, he didn't show it on his face at all. He said indifferently, "What is the rainbow crystal mushroom? We only saw a group of poisonous mushrooms. Because things were too strange, we didn't dare to stay any longer and ran out desperately." Lu Jingwan frowned. "Stop pretending. We clearly saw the rainbow crystal mushroom run away with a group of poisonous mushrooms. Why did it disappear when we arrived?" Yoon Chujio asked in confusion. "What does the rainbow crystal mushroom look like?" The rainbow crystal mushroom is transparent and glows with 7 colors. However, it is good at disguising itself. It can disguise itself as other mushrooms. However, if you look closely you will find a red dot on its stalk. It's really a country bumpkin. It doesn't know anything. Lu Jingwan said in disdain. Yoon Chujie's heart skipped a beat. She was sure that the rainbow crystal mushroom was already in her storage ring. Because when she picked the mushroom she was still puzzled. This mushroom's entire body was blue. Why was there a red dot on the stalk? Of course, unless she was stupid she wouldn't tell Lu Jingwan that she had picked the rainbow crystal mushroom. Even if she handed over the rainbow crystal mushroom now, she might still be silenced. Therefore she shook her head firmly. "Miss, we were afraid of being poisoned just now. How would we have time to see which mushroom has a red dot on its stalk? We really didn't see that rainbow crystal mushroom." Lu Jingwan turned her head and said to the red-clothed girl, "Bingyu, I told you. These country bumpkins don't recognize the rainbow crystal mushroom at all. Moreover, they are all as timid as mice and would have been scared silly if they saw such a strange scene. It's impossible for the rainbow crystal mushroom to be in their hands." Hearing Lu Jinluan's words, Yoon Chujio decided to change the Lu family on Xiaohei's account from death to life imprisonment. The girl in red, Yi Bingyu, frowned and looked at Yoon Chujio coldly. "Those mushrooms are poisonous mushrooms. Why aren't you poisoned?" "As long as you hand it over obediently or let us search you, I promise I won't kill you." Manager Lu was drenched in cold sweat. He lowered his voice and said to Yoon Chujio, "Miss, we didn't take the 7-colored crystal mushroom anyway. Just let them search you. You're the miss, so it's okay to let the miss search you." Yoon Chujio's eyes turned cold. "Manager Lu, it seems that you haven't learned my essence. There are some things that you can lower your head and compromise, but there are some things that are related to dignity. Even if you know that you're no match for them, you can't compromise. I will not let them search you. If you surrender today, then don't follow me anymore." Manager Lu and the 5 guards looked at each other. In fact, they were not Yoon Chujie's people now. They were just lent to her by the 5 guards. They were conflicted. Chapter 2174. Danger in War. Manager Lu and the others knew the hidden meaning behind Yoon Chujio's words. If they listened to Yoon Chujio and luckily escaped this time, then Yoon Chujio would definitely think of a way to recruit them as her subordinates in the future. If they submitted to the other party, then in the future the bridge would return to the road. Although Yoon Chujio did not say that she would punish them, she would not recruit them again. After Lu Jingwan heard Yoon Chujio's words, she laughed hysterically. "Tsk, you country bumpkin, what dignity do you think you have? You really make me laugh. Do you really want to listen to her nonsense? You don't even have your life, yet you still want to be shameless? The few of you quickly surrender and I will make the decision to let you go. If this country bumpkin resists, then only death awaits him." After hearing Lu Jinluan's words, the guards that they had brought along also let out mocking laughter. Clearly they felt that Yoon Chujie's words were not only overestimating her own abilities, but were also extremely laughable. Manager Lu and the 5 guards were originally still wavering. However, they were provoked by these mocking laughter. At the very most they would just die. They would fight it out. Of course, their subconscious still felt that Yoon Chujio, this little ancestor, had a lot of bad intentions. She might be able to escape unscathed. If that was the case with this little ancestor's petty temper, she would definitely give them a hard time. She might even suffer a fate worse than death. Since that was the case, they might as well fight it out now. At least she would still be a man. "Miss, we will listen to you." Manager Lu and the 5 guards stood straight and protected Yoon Chujio in the middle. Yoon Chujio was a little surprised. She felt that these people were not her subordinates. Even if they ran away, it would not be a big deal. She did not expect them to be so loyal. Since that was the case, she would naturally not mistreat them in the future. If this guy knew that Manager Lu and the others were afraid that she would take revenge later, he probably would not think that way. When Lu Jinluan and the others heard Manager Liu's words, they were quite surprised. They didn't expect these people to be so tough. Before Lu Jinluan said anything, Yi Bingyu said viciously, "Kill them all." Lu Pinyin glanced at Yi Bingyu. Although he didn't agree with her, he didn't stop her. There was no need to offend her because of a few strangers. Yi Bingyu stared at Yun Chujio coldly. She didn't know why, but she didn't like this bitch and she felt uneasy. Only by killing her could she get rid of this uneasiness. Yun Chujio and the others had nothing to say now. They could only fight to the death. Killing one was enough, killing two was enough to earn one. Manager Lu was at the 9th level of the spiritual venerable realm, and the 5 guards' spiritual power was around the 8th level of the spiritual profound realm. The guards on the other side all had spiritual power above the spiritual void realm, and there were more than 20 people on the other side. Fortunately, the guards obviously felt that Yun Chujio and the others were too weak, so only 10 or so people came to fight. The others only surrounded them and did not participate in the battle. Even so, Manager Lu and the others were very uncertain. If the little ancestor did not have any trump cards, they would be finished in less than 15 minutes. A dark light flashed in Yun Chujio's eyes. The only way now was to take risks. Yun Chujio asked Manager Lu and the others to protect her in the middle. She used her sleeve to cover the voice transmission talisman and gave Enfeng a few instructions. Enfeng did not appear because he had the same plan as Yun Chujio. After receiving Yun Chujio's voice transmission talisman, he quietly approached Yi Bingyu and the others. Chapter 2175. Swear it. While Yi Bingyu was staring at the battlefield, she suddenly staggered. At this moment, an ice-cold dagger was placed on her neck. Don't move. Lu Jinluan and the others were all focused on the battlefield. By the time they realized that Yi Bingyu was being restrained, it was already too late. Lu Pinyin could not help but be shocked. Who are you? Let Sister Bingyu go quickly. Back off. If you don't back off, I'll kill her. Enfeng said coldly. With a slight force of his hand, Yi Bingji's neck was bleeding. Lu Pinyin and the others didn't dare to act rashly. They quickly said, "We can discuss this. Don't be rash. Don't be rash." Enfeng smiled coldly. "If you want me to be rash, then let them go. Also back off. Otherwise, I'll let her go to hell with us." Lu Pinyin didn't dare to say no. He quickly ordered the guards surrounding Yun Chujio to retreat. Then he said, "Young master, let's talk things out. The hostage in your hand is the eldest daughter of the first-class Yi family. If you kill her, you won't be able to recover." Enfeng snorted. "Let's talk about it in the future. Now all of you listen to me. Stay where you are and don't move. Once we leave the psychedelic forest, we will naturally let her go." Although Lu Pinyin wanted to tear Enfeng into pieces, Yi Bingyu was in Enfeng's hands, so he could only swallow his anger and say, "All right, we will stay where we are. If you dare to go back on your words, you and your family will die." Enfeng gave Yun Chujio a look and was about to leave. Yun Chujio curled her lips. "We can't leave like this. There is an additional condition. All of you swear immediately that you can't mention what happened today to anyone. Moreover, you can't trace our identities. Otherwise, you'll be struck to death by lightning. If you don't say it, I'll draw a little bastard on this pretty little face." As Yun Chujio spoke, she took out the omnipotent kitchen knife and gestured a few times on Yi Bingji's face. Yi Bingji's eyes were filled with viciousness. She had never suffered such a huge loss since she was young. "Bitch, I will remember you. I will destroy your family." Lu Pinyin and the others had no choice but to swear unwillingly. Yun Chujio then used the kitchen knife to pat Yi Bingji's face twice. "It's your turn. Do you choose to swear or disfigure?" Yi Bingyu only stared at Yun Chujio viciously. She felt that Yun Chujio did not dare to really make a move. Obviously, she had misjudged Yun Chujio's courage. Yun Chujio used the kitchen knife to lightly cut Yi Bingji's face, and a hideous wound appeared on her face. Yi Bingyu cried out in pain. Yun Chujio said with a smile, "How is it? Do you swear or not?" Yi Bingyu cared about her appearance the most. She gritted her teeth and swore, "Good. Very good. Bitch, I will remember you." I will not investigate your background, but if you bump into me in the future I will make your life worse than death. Yun Chujio smiled brightly. Little bitch, don't worry. We will meet soon. When the time comes we will have our revenge. Let's see if you have the ability. Yi Bingyu did not understand what Yun Chujio meant. They would meet soon? She must be lying. She estimated that she would hide when she went back. However, she would not be able to hide forever. She did not believe that they would not meet again in the future. Yun Chujio saw that Yi Bingyu had sworn an oath, so she asked Feng to escort Yi Bingyu in the middle. She, Manager Lu and the others protected her from the front and back, and quickly retreated to the periphery of the psychedelic forest. Lu Pinyin and the others naturally wouldn't really stay still, but they didn't dare to get too close and follow from afar. 2 hours later Yun Chujio and the others finally left the psychedelic forest. Now can you let me go? Yi Bingyu was afraid that there would be a scar on her face, so she couldn't wait to apply the medicine. Yun Chujio sneered. Of course she wouldn't let her go just like that because if she let her go now these people would catch up with them even if they got on the flying spirit tool. Yun Chujio tapped on Yi Bingyi's body a few times. Yi Bingyu found that not only could she not move her body, but she couldn't even speak. Her eyes were full of fear. Yun Chujio took off Yi Bingyi's storage ring. Take this storage ring as an apology to me. Yi Bingyu was so angry that she wanted to die. However, she couldn't say a word. She could only watch as Yun Chujio kept the storage ring. Yun Chujio pulled her neck and shouted to Lu Pinyin and the others in the distance, I've already used my secret technique on this little bitch. If you move her within 6 hours she will become a living dead person. If you don't believe me you can try. However, don't worry. She will naturally return to normal after 6 hours. After Yun Chujio finished speaking she summoned her flying spirit tool, and everyone boarded the flying spirit tool and left. When Lu Pinyin and the others saw that Yun Chujio and the others had left, they quickly rushed over. They saw Yi Bingyu lying on the ground with a ferocious bloody scar on her face. She didn't move at all as if she was dead. Lu Pinyin saw that Yi Bingyi's eyes were still moving so he tried his nose again. When he saw that she was still alive he was slightly relieved. However, when he thought of what Yun Chujio said before she left, he really didn't dare to move Yi Bingyu. If it really was a secret technique then it would be terrible. Yi Bingyi's eyes were red. She hated Yun Chujio to death in her heart. As a result she was also very dissatisfied with the Lu Shi siblings. They were a pair of trash. It was fine if they couldn't save her, but now that they were letting her lie on the ground, they should apply medicine to her wound first. What if they left a scar? Just as Yi Bingyu was thinking about it she felt a pain in her spiritual sense. Apparently the spiritual sense imprint on her storage ring had been wiped away. She was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood but she couldn't move at all. After 2 hours, Lu Jinluan finally remembered about applying the medicine. She hurriedly took out the flawless muscle regeneration pill and applied it on Yi Bingyi's wound. After another 4 hours, Yi Bingyu finally returned to normal and stood up from the ground. Bingyu, are you okay? You really scared me to death. Lu Jinluan said with a face full of fear. She didn't expect that a country bumpkin would be so evil. She almost capsized in the gutter. Yi Bingyi's expression was gloomy and cold. She didn't say anything but took out the mirror. When she saw the hideous wound on her face, she was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. Bitch. I must kill her. Not only do I want to kill her, I also want to kill all the people in her family. Lu Jinluan was shocked by Yi Bingyi's ferocious expression. She carefully said, Bingyu, although that stinky girl deserves to die, we have already made a poison oath. We can't tell others and can't trace their origins. How can we take revenge? Yi Bingyi's face was gloomy. Ordinary people wouldn't come to the psychedelic forest to train, unless they happened to pass by this place. I don't think those people's spiritual power is very high, especially that country bumpkin. Maybe he went to the border of the 2 continents to apply for a temporary pass. From the looks of it, they must be from a third-class family. 2 months later, we'll send people to guard near the pass. We'll definitely be able to stop them. Bingyu, you're too smart. What you said makes sense. Their spiritual power is so low so they must be from a third-class family. In 2 months, whether they want to renew their pass or return to the Western continent, they will definitely go to the border between the Eastern and Western continents. At that time we'll just wait for them, Lu Jinghuan said with a fawning expression. Lu Pinyin also echoed a few words from the side. Although the Lu family was also a first-class family, it was still inferior to the Yi family. Therefore the Lu siblings still lacked some confidence in front of Yi Bingyu. Hearing the flattery of the Lu siblings, Yi Bingjia's expression became a little better. To apply for the pass she had to go there personally. At that time she would definitely be able to tear that slut into pieces. On the other side Yun Chujio, who was hated by them, was stroking her chin on the flying spirit tool, trying to think of a countermeasure. Of course Yun Chujio could think of everything that Yi Bingyu could think of. This fellow felt that the 1 million upper-grade spirit stones were really worth it. Otherwise 2 months later, those people might have set up an ambush at the border between the eastern and western continents. Yun Chujio called Manager Lu and the other 6 people in front of her. She sized them up and said, "In order to prevent you from being recognized from today onwards, those who don't have beards will start to grow beards. Those who have beards, shave them off. Manager Lu, you should lose weight." Manager Lu wanted to cry, but he had no tears. However, compared to his life, losing weight and shaving his beards was nothing. After all, he often had to go out to discuss business, so the risk of being exposed was greater. "Miss Feng Chao, then what about you?" Manager Lu asked with courage. "Me? I'm not afraid of being exposed. Moreover, I will take the initiative to find that little bitch to communicate with her, but not now." Yun Chujio curled her lips and said the Yi family would go sooner or later. Moreover, even if they did not offend Yi Bingyu, the Yi family had already sent people to kill her. Manager Lu did not dare to ask any more questions. He felt that everyone had been deceived by Miss Feng Chao. She must have hidden many things from the Mo family. For example, the secret guard that suddenly appeared could not see through his cultivation. At the very least, he must have possessed spiritual energy of the spiritual void realm. This secret guard could not have been left behind by Mo Shouting, because Mo Shouting could not possibly have such an expert by his side. So here came the problem. How could a little girl from a low-level continent have a bodyguard with high spiritual power? She definitely had someone backing her up. "When we get back, don't say that we went to the psychedelic forest for a training session. Just say that I took you on a trip. Manager Lu, you have traveled a lot. Go and make up a story. We will discuss it together," Yun Chujio instructed. Manager Lu agreed without hesitation. Very quickly he made up a story and everyone unified their stories. Everyone was afraid that Yi Bingyu and the others would catch up, so they drove their flying spirit tools to the fastest speed. They had originally traveled for 4 days, but in 3 days they had arrived at Hidden Tiger City. The next day Yun Chujio briefly told the Great Elder about the situation on the road. When the Great Elder heard that Yun Chujio had actually obtained a temporary pass for 4 months, he was also quite shocked. He thought to himself, this little girl is practically turning into a spirit. In the next few days, besides learning alchemy from the Great Elder, Yun Chujio was also thinking about the matters of the Yi family. Originally, she had planned to slowly take control of the Mo family and then use this as capital to enter the Yi family and find out the truth behind her mother's expulsion. However, her plan did not change quickly. Now, not only did the Yi family send people to kill her, but they had also offended Yi Bingyu. According to Yi Bingjia's personality, she would definitely not let this matter rest. What should she do? Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Mo Fongbing took out a few pieces of paper and handed them to Yun Chujio. "I've already sent people to collect them. Take a look." Yun Chujio took the few pieces of paper that Mo Fongbing handed over. She couldn't help but look at Mo Fongbing in a new light. This Mo Fongbing was really not bad. She didn't even need to be reminded to make preparations. After Yun Chujio finished reading the contents of the paper, her heart was filled with joy. She didn't expect that there were actually schools and sects that were recruiting students. It was really timely. "Sister Fongbing, there are more than 10 schools and sects listed here. What do you think about this? Which one do you plan to go to?" Yun Chujio asked Mo Fongbing with a smile. Mo Fongbing had obviously studied it many times, she said with some difficulty. "Although there are more than 10 schools listed here, some of them are too far away from us. Some of them are not suitable for women, and some of them don't have a good reputation. After the selection there are only 4 schools left. The W.A. Stone Academy, the Heaven Punisher Academy, the Heartless Sword Sect and the Vast Sea Sect. Sister Fongbing, what are the advantages and disadvantages of each of these 4 schools? Which school do you prefer? Yun Chujio picked up a spirit fruit and began to eat it. Both the Nuwa Stone Academy and the Heaven Punisher Academy are top-tier academies in the Immortal Yuan continent. The instructors and elders of the first-tier sects have the same level of spiritual power. It is said that the Nuwa Stone Academy got its name from the Nuwa Stone, while the Heaven Punisher Academy got its name from the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe. Wait, Sister Fongbing, you said that the Heaven Punisher Academy got its name from the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe. Could it be that the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe is in the Heaven Punisher Academy? Yun Chujio was puzzled. Back then in the ancient sword tomb, the 4 remnant soul overlords said that the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe had appeared in the ancient sword tomb before disappearing. Why would it appear in the Immortal Yuan continent again? This I'm not too sure either. But that's how the Heaven Punisher Academy got its name. Sister Fongbing, continue. Just pretend that I didn't ask anything. Yun Chujio said with a mischievous smile. Mo Fongbing glared at her, then she continued. Although the WA Stone Academy and the Xingtian Academy are on par in strength, the WA Stone Academy prefers to recruit disciples from large families while the Xingtian Academy mostly recruits children from small families and commoners. Yun Chujio nodded. It turned out that one was a noble school while the other was a commoner school. She didn't have any prejudice against any of them. Their existence was reasonable, but their level of consumption was different. What about Heartless Sword Sect and Vast Sea Sect? Yun Chujio thought to herself. The names of these 2 sects were quite high and mighty, but she did not know how strong they were. Heartless Sword Sect and Vast Sea Sect are both first-class sections. Although they can't be compared to super sects like the Primordial Chaos Sect and the Murderous Origin Sect, they are still considered quite good sects in the Immortal Yuan continent. As the name implies, the Heartless Sword Sect is famous for its sword. Although as the level of spiritual power increases, cultivators rely more on spiritual beasts. The Heartless Sword Sect believes that the power of using immortal swords is greater, so the sect pays more attention to sword control techniques. The Vast Sea Sect is the same as its name. The Vast Sea Sect accepts all rivers, and there are a few mountains within the sect that each have their own emphasis. I dabble in alchemy, array formations, talismans and other aspects. Mo Fongbing spoke with assurance. It was obvious that she had done a lot of homework in advance. She was secretly competing with Yun Chujio in her heart, wanting to take back a city. How would Yun Chujio know of Mo Fongbing's awkward thoughts? She rubbed her chin and thought for a moment. She definitely could not go to the Heartless Sword Sect. What she wanted to learn was talismans and alchemy. Going to the Heartless Sword Sect would be useless. The remaining 3 sounded good. Which one should she go to? Sister Fongbing, when are the recruitment times for these 4 places? Are the 4 places far apart? Mo Fongbing burst into laughter. Not only are the Hua Stone Academy and Xingtian Academy in Tianluo City, but they are also close to each other. The 2 academies have been fighting for tens of thousands of years, and the recruitment time is the same every time. In a month's time they will start to recruit students. The Vast Sea Sect and the Heartless Sword Sect are thousands of miles away from Tianluo City. It's only a few hours' journey. It's not far, but it's in the opposite direction. The Vast Sea Sect and the Heartless Sword Sect's enrollment time is about a month later than that of the WA Stone Academy and Xingtian Academy. Have you thought about which one you want to apply for? Yun Chujio said with a smile. I don't plan to go to the Heartless Sword Sect because I plan to learn alchemy. As for the Vast Sea Sect, although it's not bad with our aptitude, we'll probably be outer sect disciples if we get in, and we might even be odd job workers. If that's the case, the time for cultivation is too short and it's not worth it. How about this? We'll walk around the vicinity of the Hua Stone Academy and Xingtian Academy, and then choose a suitable candidate to apply for the test. It'll naturally be best if we can pass the test. Even if we can't, we can still participate in the Vast Sea Sect's entrance test. This is called being prepared for anything. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Mo Fongbing felt that what Yun Chujio said made sense. She nodded. Alright then, we'll do as you say. It's just that our thoughts are pretty good. Will great-grandfather agree to it? Moreover, you're not a resident of the Eastern continent yet. The first condition to apply for the exam is that you need to be a resident of the Eastern continent. That's not a problem. We'll take care of it. Just wait for me to apply for the exam. It would be great if you could collect the test contents of the WA Stone Academy, Xingtian Academy, and the Vast Sea Sect, Yun Chujio said nonchalantly after taking a few bites of the spirit fruit. Mo Fongbing was skeptical and urged, "You have to hurry up. There's only a month left and the journey will be delayed for a few days. In addition, we have to gather information in advance. There's not much time left. Don't worry. We'll settle it soon. We'll go see the Great Elder now." Yun Chujio took out a handkerchief to wipe her mouth and left Mo Fangbing's courtyard. When Yun Chujio saw the Great Elder, she did not hide anything. She said directly, "Great Elder, I heard that the WA Stone Academy and Xingtian Academy will be recruiting students in a month's time. This is a good opportunity. Can't be missed and it won't come again. I want to apply." The Grand Elder was mentally prepared for this. He nodded. "You can apply. I can also help you become a resident of the Eastern continent. But this time I can only take care of you. If you can succeed in the exam, I will bring the other people from Guangshunzi into my family." Yun Chujio thought to herself that she couldn't be bothered with those people, but on the surface she said confidently, "Grand Elder, don't worry. I will do my best. Also, let Sister Fongbing go with me. The two of us can take care of each other. Besides, Sister Fongbing has a good aptitude. She will definitely pass the exam." The Great Elder naturally would not stop her. If Mo Fongbing could pass the exam, it would naturally be a great blessing. However, it was not that the younger generation of the Mo family had never tried it before. Every time they returned in defeat. As time passed, they did not have much confidence to apply for the exam. In the evening, Yun Chujio left the Great Elder's courtyard. First, she went to Mo Fangbing's courtyard to inform her of the news. Then she returned to the residence of the fifth house. As the sky gradually turned dark, Yun Chujio felt a little drowsy. At this moment, the sound transmission talisman began to vibrate. Yun Chujio thought that it was a sound transmission talisman sent by Di Baiming. In the end, she found out that it was actually a sound transmission talisman sent by Xue Wuji. She could not help but feel surprised and happy. After sending her divine sense into it, Xue Wuji's voice came from inside. "Little Sister Jiu. Big Brother came to the immortal Yuan continent to look for you. Where are you now?" Yun Chujio was happy, but she could not help but feel a little discouraged. The people who had just descended from the Tian Yuan continent would be sent to the Western continent, and she was still in the Eastern continent, so she still could not meet them. "Big Brother Wuji, I am in the Eastern continent's Fuhu city. Are you in the Western continent? Don't be anxious. When you have cultivated to the spirit void realm or when I enter an advanced academy, I will think of a way to get you to the Eastern continent." After a while, the sound transmission talisman began to vibrate. Xue Wuji's smug voice came from inside. "Little ninth sister, you don't know this. I'm such a talented person who ascended, so naturally, I'm different from the others. We've been directly teleported to the East continent this time, so naturally we're the proper residents of the East continent. You. Who else is there besides you? Of course it's your beauty, Jinji. Well, go to Fuhu City to look for you now. I'll probably take about 10 days. Yun Chujio was so happy that she was going crazy. "Brother Wuji, how about this? Let's meet up in Tianluo City. I'm going to apply for the WA Stone Academy and Xingtian Academy. We can apply together. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time." Naturally, Xue Wuji had no objections. The two of them agreed to meet at Tianluo City. Yun Chujio was so happy that she did not sleep the entire night. This fellow had always been heartless. From this, it could be seen how important Xue Wuji and Jinji were to her. 8 days later, the Great Elder called Yun Chujio into the study and handed her a jade slip. Yun Chujio opened it and saw that some of her basic information was marked on it. At the top of the slip were a few big words. Residence permit for the Eastern continent of the immortal Yuan continent. It was originally very complicated to apply for a residence permit. It would take at least a month, but since the Great Elder was willing to spend money, the speed was much faster. Yun Chujio naturally thanked him profusely. She swore an oath and patted her chest to guarantee that she would definitely pass the examination. The great elder also had high hopes for her. After all, his life depended on Yun Chujio. After Yun Chujio left, the great elder called Mo Fongbing to the study room. Fongbing, you have always been a sensible child and you have a clear mind. This time you and Mo Fongbing will go to the exam together. If you can't get in, then don't say anything. If you get in, you have to pay extra attention to Mo Fongbing's every move in the future. If there's anything unusual, report to me immediately, the great elder said in a deep voice. Mo Fongbing was not surprised by this. She took the voice transmission talisman that the great elder passed to her and nodded obediently in agreement. 3 days later, Yun Chujio and Mo Fongbing quietly left Fuhu City with 6 guards. When the people of the Mo family received the news, Yun Chujio and Mo Fongbing had already left a long time ago. Everyone felt that the great elder was most likely muddle-headed due to his old age. He had actually taken Mo Fongbing into his own family and even placed her under the name of the Great House. Didn't that smelly girl only know a little bit of alchemy? What was so great about it? Moreover, the WA Stone Academy and Xingtian Academy were the top academies in the Eastern continent. It wasn't like the Mo family hadn't taken the test before. When had they ever succeeded? Only youths with exceptionally good looks could be admitted into such a top academy. If that trash Mo Fongbing were to go, she would simply be bringing shame upon herself. Although Mo Fongbing was much stronger than Mo Fongbing, she could still be compared to an average person. However, compared to those heaven's favorites, the gap was still very big. She would definitely return in defeat. Why would she bring herself to suffer? Mo Fongjiao was so angry that she stomped her feet. Damn Mo Fongbing. To think that she still treated her as a good sister. She actually didn't tell her about such a big matter. When she returned from her defeat, she would definitely settle the score with her. Yun Chujio and Mo Fongbing naturally did not know the reaction of the Mo family members. At this moment, the two of them were already flying high up in the sky like a bird flying in the sky. Yun Chujio leaned on the recliner and leisurely said to Mo Fongbing, "Sister Fongbing, did the great elder ask you to spy on me?" Mo Fongbing was originally reading a book, but when she heard Yun Chujio's words, the book fell to the ground with a bang. She thought to herself, this fellow is simply not human. There is nothing that can be hidden from her. Sister Fongbing, judging from your reaction, I guess I guessed correctly. You don't have to be nervous. I'm just asking. However, there's a good saying that you don't accept the orders of the emperor when you're outside. Therefore, you should choose what you should say and what you shouldn't say. After all, I'm also a member of the Mo family. If the Mo family falls, it'll also be implicated, therefore I will not do anything bad to the Mo family. Yun Chujio said with a smile. She believed that Mo Fongbing was a smart person and naturally understood what she meant. Mo Fongbing picked up the book with a slightly unnatural expression. As long as you don't do anything harmful to the Mo family, I naturally don't have so much time to waste on useless things. Hearing Mo Fongbing's words, Yun Chujio changed the topic. Sister Fongbing, from the information you've gathered, the Hua Stone Academy and Xingtian Academy seem to be incompatible with each other. Don't tell me that the students on both sides are going to fight for fun? Mo Fongbing's face stiffened. She didn't expect Yun Chujio's style to change so quickly. Just a moment ago they were still discussing the matter of snitching, but now, it had shifted to the two academies fighting. Of course not. First of all, there are no martial arts in Tianluo City. Those who violate the rules will be punished by the city rules. Secondly, the two academies also have a clear rule that they are not allowed to fight with the students of the other academy in private. Moreover, if the students of the two academies want to compete, Tianluo City has a special competition stage. As long as the fees are paid, the two sides can compete. Therefore no one will fight in private. Yun Chujio was delighted. This rule was good. Even if she was unlucky enough to meet that little bitch Yi Bingyu, she would not dare to make a move in Tianluo City. As for the Mo family, Yi Bingyu was just a junior of the Yi family. The number of people she could command was limited. She did not dare to be so arrogant as to destroy a third-class family. What Yun Chujio did not know was that the Yi family was already in a mess. At midnight yesterday, more than half of the doors of the Yi family had been blown to smithereens. Yi Bingjia's courtyard was in an even worse state. Even the house had collapsed into ruins. Fortunately, everyone was a cultivator. Other than being shocked, they didn't suffer any injuries. On the green stone slab of Yi Bingji's courtyard, there was a huge kiln written in cinnabar. It was as red as blood, a shocking sight. Yi Bingyu was so scared that she was trembling. She knew that this was a warning. If the other party wanted to kill her, it would be as easy as flipping over her hand. Who was the one who warned her? Yi Bingyu suddenly thought of Yun Chujio, but she shook her head. She felt that this was impossible. That bitch's spiritual power was so low, how could she have such a strong backer? Then who did it? After the master of the Yi family found out about this, he called Yi Bingyu over and asked her sternly if she had offended anyone recently. Yi Bingyu had already sworn an oath, so naturally she could not tell anyone about Yun Chujio. She could only grit her teeth and say that she had not offended anyone. The master of the Yi family could not get anything out of her, so he had no choice but to have people seal the news and secretly send people to investigate, but they found nothing. The Yi family had no choice but to increase their vigilance to prevent that person from coming to seek revenge again. Yi Bingyu was in a constant state of panic. After thinking about it for a long time, she decided to withdraw the men who had been lying in wait at the border between the eastern and western continents. If there was nothing to be afraid of, then there was nothing to be afraid of. If it really was that slut's backer, then it would be terrible. Yi Bingyu still felt that the Yi family wasn't too safe, so she decided to report to the WA Stone Academy ahead of time. Every time the WA Stone Academy recruited students, they would give each first-class family 2 exemption places. The Yi family's 2 exemption places were given to Yi Bingyu and her cousin Yi Wenhong. The Lu family's free admission slots were given to Lu Pinyin and Lu Jinluan. As soon as Yi Bingyu and the other 3 entered Tianluo City, Lu Jinluan said in surprise, "Bingyu, look, isn't that stinky girl?" Yi Bingyu followed the direction of Lu Jinluan's finger and looked over. She saw a beautiful girl talking to 3 people. It was the stinky girl she met in the psychedelic forest. Yi Bingyu recalled the humiliation she had suffered that day and quickly walked in front of Yun Chujio. "Bitch. You actually dare to come to Tianluo City?" Yun Chujio was having a lively conversation with Xue Wuji and the others. When she saw Yi Bingyu and the others, she frowned. It was really a narrow road for enemies. However, she did not dare to do anything in Tianluo City. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Before Yun Chujio could say anything, Xue Wuji was already unhappy. He raised his slender phoenix eyes and said, "Who are you? How dare you scold my little sister Jiao? How dare you? Who do you think you are? How dare you?" Yi Bingyu stopped mid-sentence and her face turned red. There was actually such a good-looking man in the world? Xue Wuji did not know that he had met a rotten peach blossom. Seeing that Yi Bingyu had stopped mid-sentence, he could not help but snort coldly. "I'm warning you. If I hear you scold my little 9th sister again in the future, I won't forgive you. Little 9th sister, big brother will treat you to a meal. Don't pay attention to this lunatic." Yun Chujio was very smart. The moment she saw Yi Bingji's appearance, she knew that she had taken a liking to Xue Wuji. She could not help but twitch her lips. Pooey. She actually dared to covet Brother Wuji. How shameless. Brother Wuji left that for my Chi-Chi. Bingyu, who are they? Yi Wenhong didn't know what happened in the psychedelic forest and asked in puzzlement. Only then did Yi Bingyu come back to her senses and said perfunctorily, "It's just that there were some small grudges in the past. It's nothing major. Second cousin, I'm hungry. Let's go eat." Hearing Yi Bingji's words, Yi Wenhong didn't continue to ask further. Lu Pinyin's expression didn't look too good. He had a good impression of Yi Bingyu, so he naturally observed her more carefully than others. He knew that Yi Bingyu was moved by the man in red. Yi Bingyu saw Yun Chujio and the other 3 enter a restaurant and her eyes flashed. She called over a guard and ordered, "Keep an eye on the 4 of them and then tell me what you've learned." Lu Pinyin's expression became even more unsightly when he heard Yi Bingji's words. He had pursued her for such a long time, but there was still no progress. She actually paid so much attention to a man that she had only met once. This was really too much. Lu Jinluan was not as meticulous as Lu Pinyin. She even said to Yi Bingyu with a smile, "Bingyu, I didn't expect that slut to know such a good-looking man. This is the first time I've seen a man wearing red clothes that is so charming with a hint of demonic charm." He is even more handsome than Senior Jinlin of the WA Stone Academy. Yes, that person is indeed good-looking. I just don't know his identity. Yi Bingyu said with a slightly red face. If that person's family background was similar to hers, she would immediately ask her parents to find someone to matchmake him. Although he's good-looking, his status probably isn't much better. After all, that stinky girl is at most a member of a third-class family. Lu Jinwan curled her lips and said, "What was the use of being good-looking? No status was useless." Yi Bingyu knew that Lu Jinluan's guess was very likely to be right, but she still had a glimmer of hope. Even if that person was from a second-class family and begged her parents, they would still agree. When the guards brought back the news the next morning, Yi Bingji's heart turned cold. That person was actually just an itinerant cultivator who had ascended, not even from a third-class family. Such a person simply did not have the qualifications to marry her. Lu Jinwan had already been reprimanded by her brother. She knew that she had almost made things worse, so she quickly made up for it. She said disdainfully, "Bingyu, you wouldn't have taken a fancy to that red-clothed man, would you? Don't be silly. Other than being a little good-looking, not only is that man from a poor family background, but his spiritual power is also only at the first layer of the Lingxian realm. He is simply trash. In the immortal essence continent, strength is revered. Don't be fooled by his appearance." Yi Bingji's burning heart instantly cooled down. Not bad, he just has a good appearance. Such a man was not worthy of her. The moment her state of mind changed, she was somewhat annoyed at her loss of self-control yesterday. She even hated Xue Wuji in her heart. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Lu Jinwan was delighted when she saw the change in Yi Bingji's expression. She continued, "Bingyu, you also saw it yesterday. That man in red kept calling her little sister. I think the two of them might be lovers." Yi Bingji's expression became even uglier. She recalled the humiliation she had suffered in the psychedelic forest and wished she could kill Yun Chujio immediately. However, she suddenly recalled the warning she had received a few days ago. In addition to the fact that Tianluo City could not use force, she could only grit her teeth and say, "I won't let that bitch off." It's not good for Tianluo City to make a move. Once they leave the city, they'll naturally get someone to capture them. Yi Bingyu planned to capture Yun Chujio and interrogate her backer. If that person was not her backer, then she would kill Yun Chujio. If he really was her backer, then she would make other plans. "Bingyu, do you think they are here to apply for the Huoshi Academy or Xingtian Academy?" Lu Jinwan asked suspiciously. Yi Bingyu snorted coldly, "Our Huoshi Academy doesn't accept beggars. They probably can't even afford the tuition fees. I think they are here to apply for the Xingtian Academy. However, with their talent they won't be able to get in. When the time comes, I will send people to take action." Exactly. The four of them still want to apply for the Huoshi Academy and Sky Punisher Academy? They are simply dreaming. They really overestimate themselves. Lu Jinwan curled her lips and said. At this moment, Yun Chujio and the other three were outside the Huoshi Academy to inquire about the situation. Yun Chujio wanted to keep a low profile, but Xue Wuji, who was attracting the wind, was following beside her. His red clothes were fluttering in the wind, and he had an unparalleled charisma. However, he did not have a trace of femininity. He was so devilish that people could not take their eyes off him. Whether it was the students of the Huoshi Academy or the people who had applied, all of them had their eyes fixed on Xue Wuji. If it was an ordinary person, they would have long felt uncomfortable under the attention of so many people. However, Xue Wuji had grown up under the gaze of so many people since he was young. Naturally, he would not take it to heart. He was very attentive in front of Yun Chujio. Although this fellow had already treated Yun Chujio as his younger sister after he had been raped by that woman, he was still a standard younger sister slave. He was extremely attentive. Hence, those women looked at Yun Chujio with a very unkind gaze. Their jealous gazes were like knives as they swooshed towards Yun Chujio's body. Yun Chujio could not help but curse in her heart. If she had known this would happen, she would have asked Wuji's head to help the gigolo. But now, not only was she unable to help, she was actually here to draw hatred. I think that red-clothed young master is still better. That little girl's spiritual power level is only at the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm. Is she here to play? 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm? Damn, she really is at the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm. Who gave her the courage to actually participate in the entrance exam of the Xingtian Academy? I think that the girl in white is slightly better. However, the 2nd level of the Lingxian realm is too low. It is impossible for her to pass the exam. That's right. The lowest level we can register for is the 4th level of the spiritual profound realm. Their registration fee is wasted. Mo Fangbing's face flushed red. She wished she could find a hole to hide in. Jin Ji was slightly better than her, but her expression was a little unnatural. Only Yun Chujiu and Xue Wuji were talking and laughing as if they hadn't heard anything. Seeing this, Mo Fangbing and Jin Ji decided to throw caution to the wind. They had already signed up anyway, so they could do whatever they wanted. Yi Bingyu soon learned that Yun Chujiu and the others had signed up for the Xingtian Academy, and she sneered. How could they think that they could get into the Xingtian Academy with just the 4 of them? They really overestimated themselves. 6 days later, the entrance examinations for the Xingtian Academy and the WA Stone Academy began at the same time. Chapter 2186. The strange test. Yun Chujiu and the other 3 entered Xingtian Academy with the rest of the students. Yun Chujiu looked at them curiously as she walked. Oh my, as expected of the top academy in the immortal Yuan continent. The size of the academy was at least 10 times the size of the Tian Yuan Academy. The senior students had not officially started their classes yet, so the group only met a few groups of students. Those students were curiously pointing at the participants. Xue Wuji, who was dressed in red, was the center of attention wherever he went, and he was no exception at this moment. Of course, Yun Chujiu, who was beside him, also made use of him, and the topic was still hot. Xingtian Academy's entrance exam reveals the most handsome candidate. Xingtian Academy's entrance exam reveals the most useless candidate. Even a 6th level spiritual venerable wanted to pass the entrance exam? It was simply a pipe dream. There were more than 10,000 people who participated in the entrance exam. Yun Chujiu cursed in her heart. She reckoned that Heaven Punisher was too lacking in money, so they relied on this registration fee to make a profit. Everyone arrived at Heaven Punisher's Divine Axe Square. In the middle of the square was a huge axe statue. Although it was just a statue, everyone could feel the ancient divine artifact's primeval aura and majesty and solemnity. Yun Chujiu almost drooled when she saw it. This axe looked really good. It was definitely more impressive than a kitchen knife and a rolling pin. It would be perfect if she could get her hands on it. Logically speaking, if you were coveting the Xingtian Divine Axe, you should just secretly drool. What the hell were you doing touching it? The 10,000 people who participated in the test and the teachers of the Xingtian Academy saw a little girl squeezing out of the crowd and running to the statue of the Xingtian Divine Axe. She was touching it while swallowing her saliva. The teacher in charge of the test frowned and shouted angrily, "That student who participated in the test, what are you doing?" Yun Chujiu said very naturally, "Teacher, I have always admired the Heaven Punisher Academy. Today I finally entered the Heaven Punisher Academy. The moment I saw the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe, I couldn't control my excitement. However, now is the serious time to prepare for the test. I shouldn't have done this. I know I'm wrong. We'll go back now." After saying that, Yun Chujiu obediently returned to her original position. Piels read on MAB0's Nov L. COM. The corners of the teacher's eyes twitched. Alright, his lines were all finished by that little girl. However, it wasn't a bad thing for this little girl to yearn for the Xingtian Academy. It was just a pity that her spiritual power was too low. She would probably be eliminated in the first round, so there was no need to be harsh on her. Thinking up to this point, the teacher coughed dryly and said, "All of you sit down and meditate. The first round of the test will begin immediately." Hearing this, everyone sat down and began to meditate. They were all very puzzled. What exactly was the content of the first round of the test? How was the test going to be conducted if they sat down and meditated? At this moment, the teacher said, "The test will begin." When everyone heard this, they anxiously waited for the test to begin. However, when they realized that nothing had happened, they could not help but be dumbfounded. Could this be a test of us meditating? Everyone's doubts did not last for long. Several rays of light rose around the square and everyone fell into their own illusions. Xue Wuji felt as if he had been in a long dream. When he opened his eyes, he realized that he was not in the Divine Axe Square at all. Instead, he was in a bedroom. Most importantly, he found himself lying on the bed. He wanted to sit up, but he found that other than his head, the rest of his body could not move at all. Chapter 2187 was heard. Damn it. Who dares to plot against me? Come out. If you come out obediently and let me go, I'll spare you. Otherwise, I'll let you die without a complete corpse. If you have the ability to come out and fight me one-on-one, what kind of hero are you hiding? Are you breathing or not? If you don't come out now, I won't be polite. If you don't come out now, I will really not be polite. I will bite my tongue and commit suicide. I will let you go for nothing. Xue Wuji was so angry that he started cursing. Unfortunately, his mouth was dry and he did not see anyone else appear. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Fuck, if he found out who did it, he would definitely cut him into 1,000 pieces. Just as Xue Wuji was fuming with anger, the door creaked open and a woman walked in. When Xue Wuji saw the woman's face, his heart immediately pounded wildly. It was her. It's actually you, this shameless woman. How dare you show up? Xue Wuji's face flushed red. It was unknown whether he was angry or embarrassed. The woman walked to the bed and looked down at Xue Wuji. She said coldly, shameless? You know clearly what happened last time. How dare you criticize me? Xue Wuji tried to defend himself with a guilty conscience. Even if I was in the wrong at the beginning, but later, Xue Wuji remembered what happened last time and his face turned even redder. He was usually eloquent, so he couldn't even speak clearly. You didn't say anything for a long time. The woman sneered. You are so interesting. No matter what happens later, I'm still a victim. Where do you get the face to question me? Xue Wuji's ears and neck turned red instantly. He was like a boiled shrimp as he roared angrily out of embarrassment. PL's read on MB0's Nov LCOM. Let's not talk about what happened last time. Why did you tie me up here? Let me go now. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson. The woman used her hand to support the edge of the bed. A few strands of long hair brushed against Xue Wuji's face, and Xue Wuji's face turned even redder. The woman's clear and cold eyes were filled with ridicule. I think you're quite good-looking. Xue Wuji felt that he had never been so embarrassed in his life. He had actually been molested by a woman several times. He really could not face anyone. Xue Wuji finally managed to squeeze out a sentence with much difficulty. You brought me back. What exactly are you doing? The woman raised her eyebrows. Why? To borrow something from you, of course. Although you are a little stupid, you look pretty good. Xue Wuji thought of something and immediately felt embarrassed and angry. He was still looking forward to it shamelessly, but he scolded. Shameless. I won't listen to you. Even if you get my heart, you can't get my heart. The woman was stunned for a moment, then she laughed. Even the coldness in her eyes faded a little. What do I want your heart for? I'm only interested in your appearance. Xue Wuji was stunned, then his heart was filled with anger. This anger was even stronger than when he had been teased by the woman. His eyes were red as he said, What do you take me for? Give up on this idea. I'll bite my tongue and commit suicide right now. Xue Wuji was not just saying that. He had been looking forward to it, but now he felt a little sad. Was she only interested in his looks and treated him as a tool for reproduction? Why was her heart so ruthless? Just as Xue Wuji was about to bite his tongue and kill himself, the woman smiled at him. She looked less cold and more enchanting. Xue Wuji's mind went blank. He was not thinking about committing suicide. Only now do I understand what it means to be a person of the world and to be a teacher. I must do my best to enter Xingtian Academy so that I can hear his teachings. Teacher Pang was stunned. Could it be that this little girl was also in an illusion, but her performance was different from others? PL's read on MYB0's Nov L. COM. Teacher Pang looked at Yun Chujio again. She had her eyes closed and the expression on her face changed from joy to sorrow. At this moment she was no different from the others. Teacher Pang shook his head, turned around and left. He would never admit that he felt that this little girl's words were nice, so he let her off. Yun Chujio secretly opened her eyes a little. She heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that Teacher Pang had left. This fellow was not a fool. She had carelessly touched the statue before and now she was acting like this. Naturally she had her own plans. The spiritual power level that she displayed at the moment was too low. If she did not use some unconventional methods, how could anyone notice her? Therefore this fellow was testing Teacher Pang's bottom line bit by bit. Of course she knew that Teacher Pang had already seen through her act. But since he didn't expose her, it meant that at least he didn't hate her. There was no harm in brushing his face first. Chapter 2189, Evildoer. An hour later, people gradually woke up and began to raise their hands. The teacher in charge let the examinees who had woken up walk to the other side of the square. Yun Chujio saw that there were almost 100 people who had woken up, so she secretly pinched Xue Wuji's arm. Xue Wuji was suffering from the torture of a pervert. After he was suddenly woken up by the pain, he looked around in a daze. He did not know whether he was disappointed or feeling something else. In short, he felt a little dejected. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. Wuji must be hiding something from her. What exactly happened? Now was not the time to ask more questions. Yun Chujio used the same method to wake up Mo Fongbing. Then she gave Mo Fongbing a subtle wink. Mo Fongbing understood and quietly woke up Jin Ji, who was next to her. Yun Chujio was afraid of being discovered, so she deliberately gave the three of them a wink. After a period of time, the four of them raised their hands to signal, and then stood in the designated area. Teacher Pang's eyes flashed. The other teachers did not see it, but he had been paying attention to Yun Chujio, so he naturally saw her small movements clearly. However, he did not say anything. Although Yun Chujio had contributed to his flattery, more importantly he felt that the little girl was a little strange. She had actually broken through the illusion in such a short time. Was it because her mind was extremely pure, or was there another reason behind it? Let's wait and see. 2 hours later, out of the tens of thousands of candidates, only about 5,000 people were conscious and stood in the designated area. The remaining people were still immersed in the illusion. Teacher Pang waved his hand and the teachers in charge removed the illusion. Only then did the examinees wake up. Although they were unwilling, the result was already decided. They could only leave dejectedly. Although the examinees who passed were very excited, they were filled with worry about the second round of the test. This elimination rate was too shocking. They didn't know if they could pass the second round of the test. Teacher Pang glanced at the crowd. The examinees who were still whispering suddenly became silent. Although they were afraid of upsetting the teacher in charge, the more important reason was that Teacher Pang used his pressure. His spiritual power was much higher than theirs. The examinees' legs were a little weak, not to mention gossiping. Teacher Pang's gaze fell on Yun Chujio again. He saw the little girl looking at him with a smile and even winking at him. Pls read on MIB0's Nov L, COM Teacher Pang. Teacher Pang had a premonition in his heart that Xingtian Academy would most likely recruit a monster. He shook his head again. He must have been too busy recently, so his brain was not enough. Chapter 2190. The second round of the test. Xue Wuji and the other two naturally knew that Yun Chujio was joking. Moreover, even if there were really only a few people left, they would not really let them take the next round. There must be other ways to remedy the situation. For example, they would choose 2 lucky candidates from the eliminated candidates to fill the gaps. In short, they would not really let them take the next round. Yun Chujio was originally joking, but she did not expect a man beside her to say with disdain, "Trash is trash." To think that they would actually think that a pie would fall from the sky. They really don't know shame. Yun Chujio turned around and saw that the man who spoke had a pair of Diao Xiaoyan. Her heart moved. This person was somewhat similar to that Zhu Jinghu. Could it be that they were relatives? When that Diao Xiaoyan saw Yun Chujio looking at him, not only did he not feel embarrassed, he said even louder, "What are you looking at?" "I'm talking about you. A 6th level spiritual venerable wants to enter Xingtian Academy? You really overestimate yourself." The other 3 people who were in the same group as Diao Xiaoyan also echoed, "That's right. I don't know what kind of dog shit luck you got to actually pass the first round of the test. But this luck won't last forever. You guys just wait to be beaten back to your original form in this round. Yun Chujio heard the discussion of the four people and only glanced at them indifferently. She did not refute. The four people felt that Yun Chujio was afraid of them and became even more unrestrained. Some people around them also joined in the jeering. Yun Chujio still did not say anything. She just glanced at them. Jean Ji, who was standing at the side, lit a candle in her heart for those people. You idiots keep showing off. The black-hearted little nine must have recorded all of you in the black book. It was fine if you didn't get into the Sky Punisher Academy, but if you did, you would be tortured. Jean Ji was shocked when she thought of this. Why would they be tortured if they got into the Sky Punisher Academy? Well, she already felt that they would definitely be able to enter the Sky Punisher Academy. After all, with the perverted leader Little Nine leading them, it would be a piece of cake for them to enter the Sky Punisher Academy. Yun Chujio didn't know that Jean Ji's little fan sister was cursing in her heart. When she saw that Xue Wuji was still in a daze, she lowered her voice and asked, "Brother Wuji, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about a beauty?" Xue Wuji was suddenly shocked. Nonsense, nonsense. There is no beauty. Brother, I am thinking about the content of the second test. Brother Wuji, have you thought about it? Yun Chujio curled her lips. If she thought about the content of the second test, would her face turn red? Liar. Xue Wuji said perfunctorily, "Of course. Brother, I am so smart. I can think of it at once. Since it's a team, it's naturally to kill demonic beasts or gather some spiritual herbs, and then calculate the points. These are all old tricks, there's really nothing new." PLs read on MIB0's Nov L, COM Yun Chujio and Xue Wuji thought about the same thing. Since it was a team, it was probably this kind of assessment content. In the end, whether it was the academy or the sect, the assessment was all these kinds of tricks. It was simply too boring. Just as this fellow was thinking about it, he heard Teacher Pang say, "The content of the second round of assessment is very simple. It is to test your teamwork and trust. One of you will be sent to the demonic beast's nest as a hostage, while the other three will think of ways to overcome the difficulties encountered on the way and reach the nest to rescue their companions. The first 600 groups with the shortest time will advance, while the remaining groups will be eliminated. In addition, if the examinee who is the hostage activates the Jade token to forfeit the competition, then the entire group will also be eliminated. In addition, flying is prohibited in the trial area, and the use of talismans is prohibited." PLs read on MYB0's Nov L, COM. As the designers of the assessment content, the instructors could naturally roughly judge the time taken by the examinees. It would take at least a day and a night to get the hostages out. After all, there were many demon beasts and obstacles set up for them on the way. Thus, the instructors sat on the ground and discussed as they looked at the changes on the map. This round of assessment is about hard power. I think the first group, the 8th group and the 10th group are likely to be in the top 3. The 3 groups you mentioned are indeed not bad, but I think the 50 and 78 groups are also not bad. Haha, it's hard to say which group will get first place, but I know that one group will definitely be eliminated in this round. That group number 250, although the weakest one has become a hostage, the remaining 3 are still the weakest. They will definitely be eliminated. All the teachers nodded in agreement. They didn't know if those 4 examinees were joking or not, but they actually applied for the Sky Punisher Academy with such weak spiritual power. They were really looking for a beating. Teacher Pang heard their discussion. Although he felt that what they said made sense when he thought of the little girl's quick-witted eyes, he vaguely felt that they might really be able to create a miracle. At this moment, Yun Chujio was in the nest of a demon beast. He suddenly thought of a problem. They had already been transported to the nest of a demon beast. Wouldn't the demon beast eat the hostage? Where could she wait for her companions to come to her rescue? The main thing was that the pioneer saber-tooth elephant was also in a sense protecting the hostages. If it died, other demon beasts might attack the hostages and that would not be worth it. Yun Chujio and the pioneer saber-tooth elephant were getting along very well. But that did not mean that the other examinees were getting along well. The examinees who were taken hostage one after another could not withstand the great fear and were sent to the Divine Axe Square with their jade tokens activated. Once the examinees who were taken hostage were sent out, the examinees in the same group would also be sent out. Naturally, they could not help but complain to each other. At this moment, 6 hours had passed since the test. The position of the blue dot on the topographic map kept changing. Teacher Peng glanced at the topographic map of group 250 and then looked at the topographic maps of the other groups. He could not help but shake his head. It seemed that strength was the true principle. The blue dot of group 250 was already far behind the other groups. It was probably because the spiritual power of the other groups was too low, so their speed was slowed down. If this continued, they would definitely be eliminated. Chapter 2193. A miracle had happened. Another 4 hours had passed, and the sky had already begun to darken. On the Divine Axe Square, it was as bright as day. It turned out that it was Teacher Peng who had taken out several huge luminous pearls to illuminate the place. These luminous pearls were much larger than the ones in Yun Chujia's hands, and their brightness was very astonishing. Some of the teams on the topographic map had already walked half the distance. In another 6 hours, they would probably reach the demon beast lair where the hostages were. While everyone was discussing the top few, they naturally couldn't help but ridicule the team that was at the back. Teske, how is it? I told you, this 250 team will definitely be eliminated. It has already been 10 hours, yet they haven't even completed 1/5 of the journey. With their speed, let alone 1 day and 1 night, even 3 days and 3 nights wouldn't be enough to save them. Yeah, their group strength is too weak. Unless there is a miracle, they will be able to save the hostages. While everyone was discussing, a slightly plump teacher pointed at the topographic map and cried out, "Miracle, a miracle has happened." A teacher beside him curled his lips. Teacher Wen, what nonsense are you talking about? What miracle? Teacher Wen was clearly so excited that he was incoherent. He simply ran to the front of the topographic map and jumped with all his might. He pointed at one of the topographic maps and said, "Look at it yourselves." Everyone was first amused by Teacher Wen's funny actions and burst into laughter. Then when they saw the topographic map that he was pointing at, they were all dumbfounded. On the topographic map that marked group 250, 3 blue dots were moving slowly. The strange thing was that the red dot was rapidly moving towards the location of the blue dot. This is impossible. There must be a problem with the topographic map. The one guarding the hostage is a level 40 demonic beast, and that black fragrant grass is only at the 6th level of the Supreme Being realm. How could she have escaped? PL's read on MIB0 Snov L. That's right. Even if there really was an accident and she managed to escape, she would have encountered demonic beasts along the way. How could she run so fast? This doesn't make sense. Teacher Peng, show us the specific image. The topographic map must be wrong. Teacher Peng also frowned. Could there really be a problem with the topographic map? After he formed a seal with his hands, the topographic map number 250 began to be enlarged. The real situation was displayed on the big screen. In the valley, a huge pioneer saber-toothed elephant was running forward. On its back sat a little girl. She was chewing on a spirit fruit in her hand. She looked very relaxed. The pioneer saber-toothed elephant was the highest level demon beast in the setup. The demon beasts on the road had long retreated. How would they dare to come out to stop it? Therefore 1 person and 1 elephant could pass through without any obstruction. At this moment, a thought flashed through the minds of the teachers. That pioneer saber-toothed elephant has gone mad. The scene was silent for a full quarter of an hour. A teacher shouted, "Teacher Peng, bring up the scene in the cave and see what happened. This is too unbelievable." Everyone chimed in. They were too curious. What exactly happened? The little girl who was at the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm actually tamed a level 40 demon beast. This was simply unbelievable. Teacher Peng was also very curious, so he formed a seal with his hands again. The scene quickly moved back and stopped at the moment when Yun Chujio fell into the demon beast's nest. Chapter 2194 was really ambitious when the teachers saw that Yun Chujie was actually chatting and laughing with the pioneer saber-tooth elephant. The corners of their mouths twitched. This little girl was really bold. However, this little girl was also smart. She guessed that the pioneer saber-tooth elephant would not really hurt her. When everyone saw that Yun Chujie had fed the pioneer saber-tooth elephant the corpse of a wind-blade golden spotted tiger, they were all dumbfounded. Was this little girl not afraid that the fresh blood would trigger the fierce nature of the pioneer saber-tooth elephant? However, it was obvious that everyone was overthinking. After the pioneer saber-tooth elephant finished eating the wind-blade golden spotted tiger, it laid on the ground lazily and closed its eyes to sleep. It was not worried that Yun Chujie would dare to escape, unless the little girl did not want to live anymore. If she tried to escape, its long trunk would immediately wrap her up. Seeing that the pioneer saber-tooth elephant was sleeping, Yun Chujie took out a reclining chair and sat on it. He took out a script and read it leisurely. The teachers were so angry that they gritted their teeth. Are you participating in the test? Can you focus a little? You actually have the heart to read the script? You're really ambitious. Fortunately, the picture was not particularly clear. Otherwise, when everyone saw the words on the cover of Yun Chujie's script, they would probably be even more angry and vomit blood. After a while, everyone saw that the little girl seemed to be tired from watching and actually fell asleep without a care in the world. Teacher Pang sped up the scene. The little girl stretched herself and stood up from the recliner. Her eyes rolled around. She said to the pioneer saber-tooth elephant, "Sir Elephant, are you done sleeping? Let's go out for a walk. It's boring to stay in this nest." The pioneer saber-tooth elephant opened its eyes impatiently and roared. It was obviously extremely impatient. If an ordinary person saw this, they would definitely be obedient. Otherwise, it would be bad if they angered the pioneer saber-tooth elephant. However, Yun Chujie, this fellow, had never taken the ordinary path. She continued to say with a smile, "Lord Elephant, are you interested in medicinal pills?" The pioneer saber-tooth elephant's huge eyeballs suddenly lit up and it let out a low roar. Yun Chujie knew that it was interested. Hence she continued to say, "Lord Elephant, to be honest, my elder is good at refining pills. When I came this time, he gave me a lot of pills. Some of them can absorb spiritual energy quickly and some can treat injuries. He'll give you 2 bottles. PLs read on MIB0s9 L. COM." The pioneer saber-tooth elephant's long trunk stretched forward. Its purpose was very clear. It wanted the pills. Yun Chujie took out 2 bottles of pills with a smile. After opening the cork, she placed the pills in her palm and let the pioneer saber-tooth elephant sniff them. Only then did she fix the bottle cap again and give the 2 bottles of pills to the pioneer saber-tooth elephant. The pioneer saber-tooth elephant excitedly put the 2 bottles of pills into its portable space and called Yun Chujie twice in a low voice. Apparently it was very satisfied. "Lord Elephant, it seems that you still like pills. Actually, I have about 10 bottles of these pills here, but they belong to my companions. As long as they agree, I can give them to you. But I can't contact them now, so I can only wait for them to come here," Yun Chujie said with a troubled look. The pioneer saber-tooth elephant's eyes revealed a pleasantly surprised light. At this time, Yun Chujie continued to say, "However, as you can see, Lord Elephant, my spiritual power is very weak. My companions are only slightly stronger than me. I reckon that after the test is over, they won't be able to reach here." Chapter 2195 could be played like this. When the pioneer saber-tooth elephant heard Yun Chujie's words, it laid on the ground dejectedly. The other 3 weaklings could not reach here, so naturally they could not give the pills to it. Wasn't this the same as not saying anything? After a while, Yun Chujie clapped her hands. "Lord Elephant, I've thought of a good idea. They can't come over, so we can go and look for them. Take me with you, we can set off now. With your speed, I believe we can find them in less than 4 hours. At that time, I will ask them to give you all these pills." The pioneer saber-tooth elephant stood up and was about to walk out of the cave, but it returned to its original position dejectedly. Yun Chujie was very smart. She immediately guessed the reason. "Lord Elephant, are you afraid that taking me to find them would violate the rules?" The pioneer saber-tooth elephant growled in a low voice, obviously admitting to it. Yun Chujie said with a smile, "Sir Elephant, you are worrying too much. Think about it, the rules only allow you to scare me and keep an eye on me. Have you ever been forbidden from leaving the cave? When we go out later I will always be on your back. This way we will never be separated. This way it doesn't violate the rules. When the pioneer saber-toothed elephant heard Yun Chujia's words, a trace of confusion flashed across its eyes. It seemed that what the little girl said made sense. As long as she and I weren't separated, it shouldn't be considered against the rules. Yun Chujio saw that the pioneer saber-toothed elephant was a little tempted. She decided to add fuel to the fire. Lord Elephant, this pill isn't like the herbs on the ground that can be found at any time. This is a rare opportunity, you have to seize it. Think about it, if you don't want the pill that can absorb spiritual energy quickly, then how rare is the pill that can treat injuries? After Yun Chujio made some noise, the pioneer saber-toothed elephant finally made up its mind. Since it did not violate the rules, it could still get a lot of pills, so why not? Therefore Yun Chujio climbed up the elephant's back along its long trunk, sat on it and left the cave happily. The pioneer saber-toothed elephant was very familiar with the terrain here, so it brought Yun Chujio and ran all the way. After seeing what had happened, the teachers looked at each other in confusion. How could they play like this? That pioneer saber-toothed elephant was really strong and simple-minded. How could it be fooled like this? Not only did it let the little girl go, but it also carried her to find its companions? If that was the case, why would the other teams compete? No matter how powerful they were, they would not be faster than Team 250. The first place would belong to them. A teacher asked with uncertainty, did that Mo Fengchao violate the rules of the test by doing so? Pls read on IB0's Nov LCOM, forget it. Which rule did she violate? Did we say that examinees are not allowed to talk to demon beasts? Did we say that we are not allowed to bribe demon beasts with pills? Did we say that examinees who are hostages are not allowed to leave the cave? Everyone shook their heads like rattle drums. Indeed, none of these were mentioned. That Mo Fengchao was clearly trying to exploit the loophole in the test rules, but there was nothing wrong with it. At this moment on the screen, the pioneer saber-toothed elephant carried Yun Chujio on its back and had already found Xue Wuji and the other two without any obstruction. Xue Wuji and the other two were fighting with a level 33 giant-toothed black-spotted pig when they saw their team leader Little Nine riding a huge demonic beast over. The giant-toothed black-spotted boar was so frightened by the pioneering saber-toothed elephant's cry that it almost stopped eating. It didn't care about fighting with Xue Wuji and the other two and ran away without a trace. Chapter 2196, Have you had dinner? Xue Wuji and the other two looked at Yun Chujio, who was on the pioneer saber-toothed elephant's back, with a dumbfounded expression. Oh God, what was going on? Didn't they say that their team leader Little Jio had gone to be a hostage? They had never heard that a hostage could be so carefree. Why did it seem like the hostage had become the owner? Was this pioneer saber-toothed elephant crazy or stupid? Why was it being used as a mount by this guy? Before the three of them could regain their senses, they felt a white light flash in front of them. Yun Chujio, this guy, quickly threw a few bottles of pills to the pioneer saber-toothed elephant and shouted, "Thank you. See you later." Although this guy had a lot of bad ideas, he still had principles as a person. The promises he made had to be fulfilled. When Yun Chujio and the other three regained their sight, they realized that they were already in the Divine Axe Square. The square was as bright as day. All the teachers stared at them with wide eyes. They were prepared to say that they were all looking at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio smiled and waved at everyone. Teachers, have you had dinner? If you haven't, I'll treat you to barbecue. The teachers were obviously confused by Yun Chujio's enigmatic style. They looked at her blankly. Yun Chujio did not mind. She happily instructed Xue Wuji and the other two to build a bonfire and start processing the demon beast meat. Not long after, the Divine Axe Square was filled with the aroma of roasted meat. The teachers really had not eaten dinner. When they smelled the aroma of roasted meat, they could not help but swallow their saliva. Therefore they took the opportunity to take the roasted meat that Yun Chujio and the rest handed over. Although they would eat the roasted meat occasionally, it was the first time they had eaten it in the Divine Axe Square. They did not know if it was an illusion, but they felt that the little girl's roasted meat tasted better. Teacher Pang did not stop them. Eating some roasted meat was not a bribe. Besides, he would not admit that he was craving for it. Eating and drinking was the best way to build a close relationship. Soon Yun Chujio managed to get all 8 generations of the teachers present. Piels read on MIB0's Nov L, Seum Shui Wuji and the other 2 were standing at the side. They only had one thought in their mind: respect. This person was too talkative. They had never seen her stop talking. Moreover, every time she spoke she could get to the bottom of the other party's heart. He was truly a monster. Of course, some of the teachers still had a cold attitude towards Yun Chujio and the others. It was obvious that they looked down on them. Yun Chujio did not mind and continued to treat them with a smile. She was not a spirit stone, so naturally not everyone would like her. This guy's strategy was to rope in as many as possible. Even if he could not rope them in, it was still good to get to know them. When everyone was almost done eating, Yun Chujio asked Shui Wuji and the other 2 to clean up. Then she tactfully went to the corner to meditate, not affecting the rest of the teachers. Teacher Pang could not help but secretly nod his head. No matter how good this little girl's spiritual power was, her eyesight was really rare. Teacher Pang meditated and rested for a while, but because he was the chief teacher, he opened his eyes in less than 4 hours and looked at the big screen. The fastest groups were now less than 4 hours away from the demon beast nest. It was estimated that there would be examinees being sent out one after another after dawn. Teacher Pang subconsciously glanced at the corner where Yun Chujio and the other 3 were. There were only 3 people left and the little girl was nowhere to be seen. Teacher Pang was shocked and looked around. When he saw Yun Chujio, he was so angry that he was amused. He saw the little girl drooling at the night pearls around the square. However, it seemed that she was a thief with no guts. She was just touching them reluctantly. Chapter 2197. Do you want the luminous pearl? Teacher Pang frowned and walked up to Yun Chujio. When he heard Yun Chujio muttering, he was so angry that he was amused. This big pearl looks really rare. It would be great if it were all mine. Sai, a gentleman likes to take money in the right way. You can't steal it or snatch it. Let's have a good time. It's good to touch it. Teacher Pang coughed twice. Yun Chujio turned around and looked at Teacher Pang. She laughed dryly. Teacher Pang, why aren't you resting? You like these night pearls very much? Teacher Pang asked instead of answering. Yun Chujio's eyes were shining. She kept nodding. Teacher Pang, to be honest, I also have some night pearls in my hands, but they are much smaller than these. These big ones are still pleasing to the eye. If you want these night luminescent pearls, then you should first enter the Xingtian Academy. Every test and assessment will have a corresponding reward. If you manage to enter, I can make the decision to use 3 night luminescent pearls as the reward for the first place in the first test. The reason why Teacher Pang said this was mostly because he was joking. He felt that even if Yun Chujio really had the luck to enter the Xingtian Academy, it would still be impossible for her to obtain the first place in the first test. However, Yun Chujio's eyes were as bright as stars. She said excitedly, "Are you serious? But 3 is too little. How about 5? Teacher Pang's face stiffened. Did this little girl misunderstand the main point? Wasn't the main point now whether she could enter the Sky Punisher Academy? Why was his attention on 3 or 5? Teacher Pang coughed dryly. Let's wait until you pass the entrance exam. Let me ask you, how long did it take you to get rid of the illusion? Yun Chujio thought that as long as the black pearl was there, it would be able to see through the illusion in a minute. Naturally, this fellow would not tell the truth. She smiled and said, I didn't pay too much attention. It seemed like less than an hour. Teacher Pang glared at her. He knew that she was not telling the truth, but he could not continue to interrogate her. Coincidentally, another teacher was looking for him for something, so he turned around and left. Yun Chujio pouted. Sinji. Piels read on MB0's Nov L. Seom. This guy squatted down and continued to drool at the luminous pearl. He wished that he could keep it in his storage ring immediately. In fact, although the luminous pearl was expensive, this guy should be a little rich lady now. He should not be so greedy. However, this guy had a special liking for the luminous pearl in his previous life. Otherwise, he would not have pried the luminous pearl off the roof of Shui Wuji's house. As the sky gradually brightened, groups were sent out one after another. When they saw Yun Chujio and the other 3 people in the square, they were all surprised and confused. Could it be that this useless group came out earlier than them? Diao Shaoan's group was ranked 9th. He also noticed Yun Chujio and the others. He thought that Yun Chujio and the others had been eliminated and shamelessly stayed here. Therefore he walked up to Yun Chujio and curled his lips. You have all been eliminated. Why aren't you leaving? What are you doing here? Are you trying to extort something to leave? Leave quickly. I've never seen such a shameless person. Hey, didn't you hear what I said to you? Are you deaf? Yun Chujio looked at the night pearl for half the night. Teacher Pang had put away the night pearl at dawn, so this guy was catching up on sleep. Initially she thought that Diao Shaoyan would leave after saying a few words. She did not expect him to be insatiable. He was always grumpy when he woke up, so he suddenly opened his eyes. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.